Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Nexus podcast. It's the second episode of the podcast. I'm your co-host M2 Dave, and I'm here with my co-host King Jr., aka Burrito Voorhees. Say hi, dude.
What's going on? I'm sensing a lot of good things in this episode of the podcast. Maybe some tension later on.
Speaking of good things, or rather, a great person we have, one of the best Shang players in modern MK history, one of the best industrial players in modern MK history. I mean, in Justice history. Sorry. Some would argue the best. One of the best zoning players ever, in my humble opinion, in NRS history. So today we have with us here is Cowboy. Say hi, dude.
Hey everyone, how's it going? How you guys doing?
Doing all right, man. How have you been?
Pretty good. Yeah, just working and then grinding MK when I can, in addition to my adult shit.
Yeah, yeah. I really respect you for still playing this game, and I think I saw you in one of the tournaments. You were participating. You were getting top eight.
Yeah, I
It,
was about
yeah,
that.
it's good to see that you're still sticking around, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I enjoy it. I love competing.
Yes, man, you've been a longtime friend of the podcast. Obviously, you and I talk, we're not like the closest of friends, but, I really appreciate you being here, being a great training partner to me and MK, one and all the other MKs and Justice, as well. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Shit, we've been playing over 10 years. That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. And especially like recently, because a lot of the old, like a lot of people our age, I know you're slightly younger, but, they're no longer around. So it's good to have you.
Right. Yeah, they
And
died.
yeah.
Yeah. Heart attacks. Got
Yeah.
too old.
Yeah. But we want to focus on today, not so much on the game and the tournaments, which we'll discuss at a later time. I would like to focus on a tier list, um, which I would like to get King Junior's and Kawa's opinion. Before we get going, I just want to give you a couple. I'll be super brief. We got tier list to me in this game. Like you have to have offense. I think that's the most important aspect in this game. You have to have like high damage. You have to have strong neutral, some kind of defensive options, right? Great down one, good armor. And then, you still want to, I don't think it's as important as those aspects, but I still think you have to have strong zoning, strong space control, good projectile, etc., etc. So we will evaluate those characters kind of based on these criteria. Um, let's begin, just ABC. Let's start with Ashra. I would place Ashra probably either in like super high B or low A. In my instance, I have her like at the top of B. Most of this will be just by the way, ABC. I think Ashra's just a good character. Like she doesn't really excel at anything. She's not really bad at anything. My issue with her, I think her offense at the top level is kind of weak because forward three, when I play like King Jr. and King like offline, I could really never hit them with that overhead. So that's kind of slow. Depending which cameo you use, you don't really get the best conversions. So for example, if you use Serena, you have the space control, but obviously you lose the back throw combos, you lose the launching armor. So she doesn't really have again like the best of both worlds, which is kind of what the top tier characters have. What do you guys think, Cowboy? You're the guest. You tell us.
Yeah, I mean, I think Asha's strong. I might agree with the placement, high B, low A. But yeah, I think her armor move I think is really really good. Like she can almost use it as kind of a flash parry in some situations. Also, even if you bait it and you block it, you still can't punish her a lot of the time, or at least some characters really struggle because she's kind of too far away. So that is incredibly strong. I think her footsies are very strong, and I think her best synergy cameo is definitely probably like Movado or Chameleon, followed by Serena. I think those are all really good places to start. Not to mention her damage is huge, very, very significant. Pretty much off of any touch. So yeah, I think she's a strong character.
King Junior, what do you think?
Pretty much everything Cowboy said, I agree with. Like low A, high B tier, the armor stuff, Movado. I also seen in the past people use Scorpion and Goro with her so she can get back throw combos and she can do like block strings with Goro up punch and stuff. But I personally would put her low A tier. But um, since we're saying low A, high B, what are you guys thinking? Majority vote in this case, I guess.
I would
Uh,
personally go with the super high B. I guess maybe Cowboy can have the last word. He's the guest.
yeah, I guess I would agree with that. Yeah,
So high B.
yeah.
All right, she's in B tier. Baraka is next in the lineup of characters. If you guys just want to go, what's based off
Yeah,
my screen? I think it's
I,
alphabetical order actually. So
yeah. That's kind of what we're going by, and I think obviously Baraka, like I think it was either Tweety or maybe one other content creator who kind of described Baraka as kind of like almost like out of date meta, right? Like he was nerfed. He suffered a couple of nerfs, but most notably, like obviously Pre-Pet Siren got nerfed. Um, Striker got nerfed. You know, his meta is essentially I'm going to do a string, follow up with something, and I'm going to loop it over and over again, right? Like, but that type of meta got nerfed because like obviously flawless blocking, something doesn't build your meter, et cetera, et cetera. So I would put him in B, right next to Astra. I believe that he's still good because he has really good normal attacks. That kind of stops him from being really really bad because what is that? I think standing two has a lot of range. He's got a great sweep. Um, he has good options to crush armor with like what I think it's standing four. Then he's got what is it, back three. So he's got some really decent options like crush armor. You know, get his turn back. I think he's also probably has the best hit advantage on his back throw, or at least one of the best ones. If there's some like frame advantage. So there's only like so bad that the character can be. Um, Kano still he really wants to use Kano, but Kano's not like one of the. It's not really like a super top tier cameo. If I remember correctly, he also reduces your health, which is by the way something that they should reverse. But that's another story for another day. I think he's just a solid character, like solid mid tier. I would place him in B. Cowboy, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, tier wise, I'd say probably a mid-tier character. I do think he's really strong though. Like his armor break's fucking nuts. Just how easy it is for him to do it. And it is a personal bias, but yeah, I cannot stand Baraka Kano. It is very, very frustrating. Essentially, he can just get in from anywhere on the screen, using Kano as the lead in. And then, he is a little bit negative, but then he's at a spacing where he can still kind of hold control. Incredibly brain dead game plan. But yeah, I mean, it works. So yeah, I'd agree, probably around Ashra's status.
Franco?
I think B tier is fair. He does have really good, like probably the best armor break in the game with stand four, back three, and I'm pretty sure back three blade barrage or down forward two is a true block string, so you can't like armor it. Cause I know back three one you can duck the high attack from it. That's the launcher off back three. Um, and back three two is just unsafe on block and doesn't lead to combos on hit. So if he wants to make back three into a safe block string, he could just do a special cancel into like the blade spin or down back one and then Kano knives, and it's just a giant gapless block string. So your best normal having all of that combined is like lots of chip damage. If it hits, then you just don't use your cameo at all. And his movement's really good. Like he has really fast initial movement. It covers like a lot of space in a short time. His back throw it probably is one of the best as far as hit advantage in the game, like you said, Dave. Um, he's just like a very simple but effective character, I feel like, and but he does have a pretty weak armor. Like it's pretty slow and doesn't lead to anything on hit really. And he has definitely one of the best, if not the best, like jump punch in the game with his jump two being disjointed. Like you almost can't contest it. Like you have to flawless block or armor it.
Yeah, and I feel like also like EX. whatever the thing is. It down forward four, I want to say, or two. I'm sorry, I forget. The EX version of that has a gap.
Yes.
You can use it, which I think if they like remove that, if I don't think they will, but that will like almost like make him like he will like jump up a tier or two because you can armor, like you could. They usually do that, then they call the knives or whatever. You guys know the deal, but you can usually trade and the trade is in your favor, so you got to get to interrupt his offense. And a couple of his strengths, it doesn't matter for most characters, but they're like -7. Like Franco mentioned, was it back 3-2? That's -7. So if I use Kung Lao, I can launch that. If I block the overhead, I can launch that. So that is like so at the highest level, if you probably using Kung Lao or Liu Kang or maybe Li Mei, like throwing out those moves, like they can get you punished really, really hard. And then maybe you can do a lot of damage and you get to zone him a little bit before he comes in, and then maybe you build a bar, et cetera, right? So you can kind of see how he would have certain bad matchups. Um, Not going to get into the philosophical balance, but maybe that's a good thing because we don't want characters like to be too easy to use and too oppressive because then you guys see a lot of them and then you guys are complaining and those characters eventually get nerfed. So that's kind of like a commonality in a lot of these fighting games, right? If a character's too easy to use, we don't want him to be like top five because then you see a lot of them and it just kind of leads into problems. Um, so again, I think B tier is good for him. Um, do you guys want to move on and talk about Conan next?
We can try. I don't know. I still need to learn more about him.
Yeah.
In
It's
all honesty.
at least my initial placement. He seems like one of the few characters actually who's zonable. He doesn't really
Sort of.
like that. Whatever that spinning sword attack is, that doesn't really seem to be that good. Um, his offense is a little bit gimmicky. With with the cancel, with the overhead which you cannot block, with the four ender of that one string that's plus.
I
If
don't know
he,
if that's gimmicky, is
yeah.
it?
Oh, I mean, I can fit you. You go ahead. What do you think?
That's all right. Yeah, I'm just like, I mean, sure, that carries some risk, but I don't think it's gimmicky because it's legitimate guesses. Gimmicky would be like he's just doing something that's not real, at least in my opinion. Now, the guesses, I mean, especially depending on the matchup, are not always in his favor.
Yeah.
Usually not. But still, they are enforced guesses off of pretty good footsie tool, which I think is solid.
I think the number one issue with them is like, what is that? That amazing long range move. I think it's forward two, is it?
Oh, so good. Yeah.
Yeah. But the problem is forward two one has a gap. So
Right.
again, if you're playing Kung Lao, you're playing Sector, you're playing one of the characters with like good armor. There's almost no reason not to try that, right? Because and then it forces him to stagger, and that kind of opens up your defensive game, opens up your zoning, opens up your runaway game.
Right.
So this is like one of the few guys actually I feel pretty confident zoning with Sector and to a lesser extent with Kung Lao. Again, having access to the armor. I don't think he's bad, but I would probably say he probably could use a buff or two to some extent. Um, but before I even get talk about that, Franco, what do you think? Because I know this is a character your brother used on you.
Yeah, I still think there's some things I could learn more about him because my brother
Yeah,
doesn't play
to be honest, yeah.
often enough to like give me that XP, and I just ran into like barely into Conan's, but the only things I can really think that stand out to him are like he has one of the best stand ones in the game,
Oh yeah.
if not the best stand one. It's like maybe not Shao level stand too powerful, but pretty close. And his jump three, that jump sword normal seems really good, like a deep jump in or far reaching jump in. Um, that's kind of really it. He doesn't have a good projectile, so you can kind of run away from him if you have like uh, just a decent runaway game. And when I played with Sparks at competitor's house, he was using Conan, and he believes that anybody with Motaro can just win. It's like a losing matchup because of just far teleport, and you just run away and repeat. I don't know if that's that bad, but yeah, I don't know. Conan's just all right. Like probably in my opinion, like C tier.
Do we all
Oh,
agree on that? Because I have him in C tier as well.
I don't know. C tier seems a little low to me. Like I'd say at least like bottom of B personally.
Well, let's
But
put him in C tier for right now and see how the rest works out, and then we can make adjustments later.
okay.
Um, I think a- again he's a new character, right? So he could be mistaken, it could be better, he could even be worse. But I
True.
think
Yeah.
C tier for right now, just based on initial feedback, I think is a fair initial take. Um, Cyrus is next. I hate this character. I don't like her.
Mhm.
Super annoying. It's so hard. Like with Sector, again, I'm coming from my perspective. Guys, obviously, I'm a Sector and Kung Lao. I don't like Kung Lao Sector. I think the matchup sucks.
Right.
Sector is better because I can get to kind of zone her. But when she hits you, you have to guess. And this character's stupid. The only reason she's not like super broken is because she doesn't do that much damage. Like if she did like Homelander, Sindel damage into reset, she would be like S tier easy. So she kind of has to open you up multiple times to break you down. And her strings are not the best. Like down three is like -11, -12. So she kind of has issues with certain pokes, with certain strengths. Again, it has like some strings that are -7 as well. Which if you're using certain characters, well not certain, but a couple of characters you could actually punish her hard. But any like it, she can just rob you. She can do a lot of damage. Um, and for most characters, if you do a projectile and she trades, she gets to start it. I'm kind of happy she's not S because I don't want to fight another Sindel, but I would put her like a top of A. Cowboy,
Cyrax? Ooh, that's interesting.
or would you
Hmm.
place her lower?
I would place her a little bit lower. I'd say bottom of A.
Okay,
Still an
but
A.
do you agree with the category at least?
Yeah, I think A tier is the right place for her.
Yeah,
I mean, I know I definitely agree she's annoying as fuck. Like, hate being in vortexes. I don't think anyone likes that. But I don't think her neutral was that strong.
yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
that's why she's not like a S tier character. The projectile is good. It does have a lot of recovery. If someone ducks it or jumps it. So, and that to me is like her main footsie tool, or at least one of them. So yeah, I'd say bottom of A. Just because she has a vortex, she can always compete, but her neutral isn't the best. Also, without like certain cameos, I'd say her damage isn't that high either, which is
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Franco, what do you think?
I would say she's probably mid to low A tier. Kind of agree with everything you guys said pretty much. Like she is kind of vortexy, somewhat weak and neutral. She doesn't really have many strings or normals really to begin with. Um, her pokes are okay. Um, it's nice having booger bomb trade combos. Like you land that thing full screen and get hit by a projectile, you can still teleport into a full combo. And you could tech her command grab. And I know there's cases where you don't even get a chance to tech and you get exploded by a bomb. But yeah, I think my placement for her would be mid to low A tier.
Yeah, it seems like we mostly agree.
Fun
And I
fact you'd
go
appreciate, Dave. I think
go
that's one of the few Quan Chi winning matchups. Cyrex.
Hey, save
But
that for
we'll get to
later
that
because
later. Yeah.
that segment will be long.
Did I just hear a Quan winning a matchup?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we got a
See?
lot to talk about later.
We
Hmm.
have a lot. So let's these are none of any of these characters are exciting, none of them are boring, but speaking of a non-boring character, Ermac. Ermac, straight to S. Straight to S. This is so obvious. When I watch Sonic Fox lose, that's how you know the character's S. Just
Yeah.
as a essentially the damage, right? Like has great mid-range control. May arguably has some of the best synergy with Janet in the game of any other character. But again, it's just like the damage. And most players that this is very high execution. And he's one of the best design characters in the game. Do I like fighting him? No, because I don't feel like eating 60%, but super good. Again, at mid range, hits you once, does a lot of damage. I hate the freaking whatever that shield thing is that he activates. Takes
Yeah.
yeah. So that sucks if you're a zoner. Teleport is not that strong, thank God, because he has the shield. But yeah, essentially he plays footsies. He has back throw combos. He hits you, and you kind of die. I mean, there you go. That's the character. Like just a footsies master. High execution, thank God. Beautiful to watch. Love watching Rewind or anybody else who uses him. Cowboy, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, there's no doubt the character is an S tier. He has everything. Um, one of which you mentioned is the throw that launches with Janet. I think that's honestly one of the check boxes for a top tier character in this game.
Correct, correct.
Do they get throw combos? And Ermac definitely does. Yeah, did that. Yeah, he's insane mid range. He has really, really good armor break. Uh, and it doesn't, I mean, it's not a straight up counter, but like his string, I think it's 1-2 or 2-1. It's super fast that breaks armor. That thing is very difficult to even try to like bait out and punish just because it's so quick. Yeah, he has everything. He's one of the best characters in the game.
Franco?
Yeah, he also has a full screen fatal blow. That's nice. He has a lot of disjoints. He has one of the best down fours in the game, in my opinion. His 1-2 is really good at armor breaking. His stand one is actually like plus 20 on hit, and there's been many times where I've tried like mashing out of like minus frames or some other scenarios that me and my brother were in, and we would trade buttons, but he would trade with his stand one, which was plus 20, and he would still full combo me after. Um, so that's pretty fucked up when that happens. Um, yeah, I think in a perfect world, like if a player that finds watching paint to be entertaining played Ermac, just played super lame, like a hit and run play style, had the Janet combos down, ran away, building meter with the cancels, and greened up and used the Janet barrier to run away. Like that's gonna be really hard to stop. Like if you had like Theo level defense with that character, like and had him mastered everywhere, definitely S tier in my opinion.
Yeah, that's something I meant to mention too. That move, the I'll try not to call for nerfs too much in this, but the move where he can just take no damage is absolutely ridiculous. Like I don't understand how that's still in the game. But especially for the duration, for like the startup, it has basically no frames. And not to mention, right, it's based on meter, so the idea is you're supposed to drain his meter, but I mean, meter is just so free in this game. It doesn't really matter that he's using meter or getting hit and losing meter because he's gonna get it back. I think that move is crazy. It's also honestly, you were saying with some runaway, which I've seen Airmax who do that. It's just incredibly boring because you can't really close the distance, and then you're also doing nothing when you hit him.
It should
I
also
think,
be
I
mentioned
think
that
it's
he
pretty.
can use with like Kung Lao, like do hard blockables as well,
You
which
can
I
do
don't think,
that, yeah.
yeah, it's not like meta, but again, you kind of want to give your if you play this game competitively, you kind of want to have a couple of cameos, like at least to confuse your opponent at that level.
Yeah.
To give him or her a different look, I think is very important, and he kind of has that. It's not again, we're not suggesting that Kung Lao is as good as Janet. Obviously, he's not, but it doesn't, hurt in a tournament first to three, whatever you give your opponent, another look, another option, which I think is kind of important.
I
Um,
agree.
yeah, but thank you guys for like, Frank like mentioned the fatal blow, it's kind of like mentioning other stuff that I'm initially forgetting. I think it kind of makes this podcast more interesting to listen to when people give more aspects of a character than what I initially did. But let's move on, and I know who's gonna talk about this character a lot, but let me give my initial comments. We'll let Franco talk. No worries, no worries. Geras, I will put in B tier. Um, Geras is a tough character to rank because without any resources, I think he's C. With resources, he can be up as high as like top A. Essentially, how much meter do you have, and do you have hourglasses? Obviously, what sucks about him is down one is miserable. It's the worst in the game. It's super hard to play defense with that, along with his armor. It's like it's good like as an anti-air, but like anti-airing in this game is not really that problematic. We're not playing MKX, we're not playing Injustice 1, right? So it's just his defense is kind of weak. And he can have matchups, he just gets rushed down. He can have matchups where he just gets like out turtle, out zone. So he's difficult to rank, but I think he's like, for me at least, top B. I would put him above Baraka and Ashra if I had to rate everything. But Franco, I know you want to have your I know you want to rant, so please go ahead. And you are the expert, so you deserve to rant, obviously.
Can I get the last word for Garrus? Let Cowboy go.
Yeah, of course. If
Yeah.
any,
Well,
you deserve it. You are the placer with the character, so you deserve it.
all right. Yeah, you're not gonna like what I have to say. Gears is the top of A tier. The character is like Dave, you were saying about like, oh yeah, there's times that he doesn't have resources. When is that? When does this character not have resources?
Well, if you
And
watched the
hold on,
analogy,
let me,
there's
let me
no.
finish. Let me
Go ahead.
finish.
I apologize.
I
Go ahead.
even say this as like, I think Juan is terrible. We'll talk about that later. But one thing he does not struggle with, even though he's shit, is building meter. It's literally just free in this game. Not to mention, and then the hourglass. That's another thing. Resources? Are you kidding me, dude? He literally gets to do that for free when he hits you. Like, there's no strategy behind it. He just gets to do it. Or if he has Mutaro, he can pop it in neutral and then be safe because of the teleport. Yeah, that resource management is not a thing with that character. Um, I think he's really strong. Got hooked up with a ton of buffs. Yeah, he's a good character. I don't think he's S. Like, he's not going to be the absolute best of the best, but he has basically everything you need.
You don't think like he struggles like, with something like Scorpion back three into
I
Ferritor?
mean,
Like,
again,
I like.
that's why he's not S. Because yeah, that sucks. But everyone has to deal with that, and yeah, it's not fun.
Always like playing Ermac. He literally cannot press a button. Like he presses anything.
Well, it's down one in 7 frames, right?
What's that?
He's down one in 7 frames, isn't it?
Like that's one thing. Like Franco was right about. He blew me up. We had a really passionate conversation
Yeah.
about one night, and we were like going back and forth. But look, man, I think Garrus is hard to rank because when he has resources, I agree with you. He can be honestly, you could probably put him S. Like if he has like all the resources, right? He has full bars, he has hourglasses, and a fatal blow, right? He could be S. But when he doesn't have that, he cannot have everything at all times. And I think the character is again a very high execution. Um, it's essentially like he's a character specialist, which is why almost you never see him. Um, Obviously Gurr has placed with him, so has
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
has Franco, but I think the weaknesses are there. And he you saw from Vianelli, I was gonna say like I mean, he was getting outzoned pretty hard. Gurr was like, against he lost Gurr lost twice to
That's
Foxy's Sector
Foxy. Yeah.
Sonya. Yeah,
Mhm.
so that can be an issue for him. I know zoning, I will never argue is good in this game, but like there are certain matchups you can kind of outzone him, out turtle him, like when you feel like you have the advantage in terms of resources and the range. So that's all I'm saying.
I mean, if when he has that hourglass up, like you literally just can't do anything.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it's
one snap and you're absolutely fucked.
that does suck. That does suck.
And I even say that like Quan is lucky in that he can pretty much always punish that. But you saw
Stand-
Gur playing against what, like that reptile player? Like that looked horrible, man.
yeah, that looked really, really.
He literally couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it was just like running away the whole match. He just
Yeah.
yeah, no, and
Sorry,
I
I don't
think
mean to be a hater, but that gameplay that
no,
sucks.
no, 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 no. I think you're mentioning good talking. You mentioned some good points, but um, I do think Franco's downplaying whatever he's gonna say, and again, he deserves the last word. But I think there has to be a balance here, and to me, I would put him on top of B for sure, maybe low A. But Franco, I know you've been waiting patiently. Please go ahead.
If you guys value your lives, you guys will stop the Garrus slander right now. Um, Jokes aside, though, if I didn't discover the tech that I'm saving so patiently for Texas Showdown that I hope can get me a high placement and I pull off on stream, I would have him at bottom five because his down one has like negative reach and there's mind games that he has to suffer from that no other character has to deal with except maybe Kung Lao because of his stubby down one, maybe Shang Tsung. Uh, so the mind game is most pokes are minus 8 on block, and most stand ones are 7 frames startup. So if somebody pokes me, if I block a down one from the opponent and they go straight into their stand one, I can't back one them as a reversal, like at the earliest frame. They can interrupt that, and that means I can't just steal my turn autopilot with my back one. But my forward one is 11 frames to the chest bump. I can try using that, but I can't jail into that because it has so short of reach that you can do down one on block into micro backdash with punish into whatever normal you want. So I can't always counter poke with my mids. I could try forward four, but I think some characters can still do poke into backdash with punish. I have to test that with every character because every character's movement's different. Every character's poke is different on block and all the micro spacing on block. So I think that's a huge issue he has along with his down one because he can't down one punish anybody like 99% of the time, which means he gets less opportunities to get his turn back, which is horrible as a grappler because how can you enforce your strike throw game if you can't even steal your turn all the time? And there's so many strings that down one just whiffs after, like you can literally whiff punish it because it just whiffs. Like you could do a minus string and it's like a mind game on only Garrus and nobody else because of his stubby down one. And hourglasses can be built for free with some cameos. Most cameo or the not every cameo can give you free hourglasses meterlessly. So like I wouldn't say hourglasses are free resources all the time. It depends on the cameo. And Garrus's best cameos subtract his health, so he's a 90 health character essentially. So most of the time you're always going to have a life lead against him from the start of the match, which means he's going to have to get in. He does have good meter build though, especially with Motaro, because forward 4-4 into Motaro is like a lot of meter on block. And just a quick disclaimer for my podcast, we are not condoning nerfs. All right, we're not babies here. We're like dinosaurs in the FGC for NRS, so yeah, we're not like begging for nerfs whenever we talk about like things being busted, but and there are some characters that are very difficult to use reverse time on because of like certain spacings on hit. Like Liu Kang's kind of an awkward character sometimes. Like really, the only time you can reverse time on him is after back two on hit before the three comes out. The rest of his moves usually set him at a distance where reverse time will whiff. The animation will play out, and you just whiff punish reverse time. Sub-Zero cameo armor is immune to reverse time. Ghostface Enforcer Assassin stance is immune. Like it just triggers the killer swap when you pop reverse time, as you saw against Sonic and Gur, and it's just a free punish. I think that happened in their set. I might be thinking of Sonic versus Demoralize, actually. My apologies. But Scorpion into Farah, you can't deal with that with his short-reaching armor. Yeah, I could go on, but I think with my tech, I have Garrus at the bottom of A tier or high B tier.
So it seems like we kind of agree, more or less. Maybe Cowboy puts him a lot higher than you and I would like, but again, I don't want to, I don't want us to take priority, but let's kind of put in what we have right now, and then we can kind of look back and later, and we can adjust things. But let's move on because we do want to talk about all these characters that we like or dislike, for that matter. Speaking of characters that I dislike, Ghostface goes up to S tier for very obvious reasons, and then more, like, do we even have to talk about this?
Yeah,
Essentially,
yeah.
Cowboy, just handle this one. I know you want to rant. Just do it.
Fucking character, man. It's like if Cyrex had good footsies. That's basically what, and then plus a more damage and more mix-up options. Like
Yes.
Ghostface, I guess if he has a weakness, it's that he doesn't have like a traditional projectile. His movement isn't the best, but with cameos especially, like you can mitigate those weaknesses pretty well. And yeah, I mean essentially like he just when he's in your face, you're at any point at risk of just being thrown into a loop, whether it's off of his normal or a throw with like Movado. yeah, you're getting mixed, and he has multiple options to do the mix too. Into good damage, into itself. He's one of the best characters in the game. I'd say another maybe minor weakness would be his armor, but it's still usable enough. Like he can still do shit with it. I think also that the swap thing is really, really strong. Like the fact that you can be a different ghost face, right? And
Can you punish
like
that?
absorb hits.
Cowboy,
What do
can
you
you
mean?
punish that when it reappears, or is it unpunishable?
It's not punishable. Like, I mean, maybe some characters, different situations I don't know about, but basically what kind of ends up happening is that, he is negative, so it's your turn, but it's definitely not a punish. It's what
Yeah,
I
I
kind
mean
of.
that's essentially what I was gonna. So he's like almost he's like a Siren. He's like a Kenshi, right? He can just
Yeah.
kill you, and I think the ideal cameo is probably Scorpion because he requires less resources than Mavado. He can come from his command. Essentially, you're just guessing, like you're just guessing nonstop, and they have found ways to extend their combos. So if Scorpion is missing, they'll do an extra hit, whatever, whatever, and then now Scorpion is back, and they can do it's very annoying. But yeah, it doesn't have the best armor, doesn't have the best space control. So maybe like one or two at most kicks can actually zone him in this freaking game. So maybe that could be his bad matchups, even though I don't think they are. But yeah, I don't like fighting him. He's annoying. Um, man, oh man, just the vortex, dude. How many characters do we need to do? How many characters are in this game to do? We need less of that. We need more zoning. But anyway, I'll shut up. Franco, go ahead. Your comments on Ghostface.
He's S tier in my opinion. He's kind of similar to Homelander in the sense of he can make anything a tick throw with his running stance into the command grab because
Right.
diabolical dash can be special canceled into off of whatever into his command grab like Homelander, you know. And back three being like a restand at almost any given moment pretty much is really good. And Scorpion's flame breath is a little faster on the cooldown side. I think it's 7 seconds instead of like the traditional 10. And Ghostface combos take for fucking ever. So he always has like flame breath for command grab combos. And he can swap stances. Like I think if it's for a bar meter, he can just instantly swap stances and his side switches. So like that just helps him get in if he's getting zoned for whatever reason. Um, his stand one's pretty good for a non-disjointed standing one. It like really reaches pretty far. And his jump kick's really annoying too. It hits at that stupid crucial like angle that's just really hard to anti-air.
Yeah, I think we all kind of see eye to eye on this one. I think this character is kind of obvious, and I think you will see probably more of him as time goes on. 'Cause there was some inconsistency, what was nerfed, and they all gave it back to him either way. So he's S tier, and I don't, not really fun to fight against, but whatever. Havoc, I don't have to say anything. You guys talk about it. Take any turn you want. I
He's
think this
number
one is so obvious. I don't think he even needs to be talked about. But Cowboy's the guest. Cowboy, go ahead. Havoc.
he's number one or two. I mean, I think there's just no doubt about it. He pairs well with one of the best cameos in the game, Vado. And then he has other ones that are good too, actually, but that's the best one. He has plus health, which I mean that's a different conversation, but I think it's ridiculous that he has plus health. Um, he has, really, really great mobility. His projectiles aren't traditional, but they are enough to like, stop zoners or at least slow them down. Really, really fast anti-zoning roll. Broken ass armor, two of them. One of which can be used as a mix-up. Really good air move, really good damage. Um, cannot be zoned in whatsoever. Really good mind games off of his forward advancing string. Yeah, he is just a complete character, especially, and then of course the sweep right with Movado is incredibly good because it's over sweep distance away really it feels like, and he can launch you with it. Yeah, he has everything. He's literally no weakness in my opinion.
Yeah, Franco.
I think he's S tier, but I think he's slightly overrated out of all the S tier characters, just slightly. I think I don't have him in like my top two, top three, but he's definitely still S tier in my opinion. Um,
Why is he overrated?
I think a lot of people get hit by the stand two mix ups too much, like the stand two arm snap and the 2-2 overhead. Um, a lot of people were getting hit by that at Pro Comp Mexico, and I'm not
It's a
saying it's an
mix-up,
easy.
dude.
I'm not saying it's an easy mix up to block, but it's definitely fuzzyable. And Dave, you could back me up on my fuzzy capabilities. Like I used to freaking fuzzy acidic alien pre-patch and MKX for breakfast, and I even got props from Sonic Fox saying I had good alien fuzzies. So if you have good enough fuzzies, yeah, I'm not saying it's easy to fuzzy, but um, I think it slightly lowers down Havoc. Like I would put I would put peak level Ermac above Havoc in my opinion. But
Yeah,
that might be controversial. I don't know. I still have him S tier, but I think he's not in my top two or three.
I think it goes back to my previous point about obviously he's a lot easier to use than Ermac, right? So a lot of people kind of flock to him, right? And you got if you guys watch this game online or offline, you already know like this is nothing new. I don't want to bore the audience with this. Obviously, he's not on the same level as Ermac in terms of execution, right? So a lot of people will use him. Is he better than Ermac? I don't know. Like it's difficult to say, depending on the matchup chart, depending on the Ermac's player lack of execution, lack of lack of consistency on that day, right? So it's very very difficult to say. But you guys know, obviously, based on results and just based on character use, that there's almost no question this character is like top five. And speaking of a top five character, another character who just kind of pisses me off is Homelander.
Yeah.
Dude, oh my god, just like the aerial thing, and sometimes when you do armor, it doesn't really hit him properly, and then see both of those characters like they were incredibly broken, and I'm not like one of these younger players who just throw out these terms lightly, but can we like pre-patch Homelander and Havoc? They were broken, right? Like you guys can agree with me, right?
Yeah,
Essentially, Havoc
no
killed you in
doubt.
like one combo, and Homelander it was essentially like I don't know fighting an MKX character. So those characters got nerfed, and I think they nerfed them properly. They're still super top, but they're not like useless as they did with certain zoning characters, which we'll get into later. But yeah, there's no again that move forward for whatever the hell it is. How do you play footsies? I don't know. That freezes you. He comes in, throws you from half screen. Blah, blah, blah. You try to block. It's a 50-50 with Ferrator. Again, it's just so obvious. I don't want to talk about it. I don't like him. Cowboy, just take it away.
Yeah, I mean, a character that has a lot of tools. I'm glad they nerfed him a bit. I mean, I think that even though maybe you could use another nerf or two, like it at least helped. But yeah, it just I don't know. To me, just fighting mix-up based characters is not fun, especially when I mean, yeah, I definitely think he's S tier. Especially when it's just like in MKX at least every character pretty much had a 50-50. In this game, not every character does, or at least not one that like leads to damage. So the characters that have it are just ultra privileged, in my opinion. It's kind of a problem, and he's definitely like the poster boy of that.
Franco?
Uh, him having extra HP with Farah, which is the majority of the time, that's a team you'll see, is pretty good. His fatal blow has like it sends you like full screen on block, which is just absurd and dumb, and he can use it in the air too. Um, his command grab obviously reaches as far as it does, and like I said earlier, you could pretty much make anything a tick throw off of that. Um, his backwalk startup speed is very good too. Like he can just walk forward and backwards, and like the amount of distance he covers on the startup of his backwalk is a lot actually. Like I'll be getting exposed and neutral by homelanders. Like I'll be trying to go in with my normals or buttons, and they'll just backwalk on me, let me whiff, and back 1-4 combo. Yeah, I think he's an easy S tier though. He's probably in my top three. And just to give you guys an idea of the tier list I have up right now, and I'm ordering it just out of my personal like opinion. I know you said you're not really focused on the order, Dave.
Yeah, you could,
Cowboy,
giving you the category, you can run however you like. I probably won't disagree too much.
but we have Ermac, Havoc, Homelander, Ghostface, and S tier. A. Cyrax Garrus. B. Ashra Baraka. C. Conan.
Okay.
And
Well,
the next character is General Shao. I know whether you call him Shao, General Shao, alphabetically, it's not right, but would you like to go with General Shao or Johnny Cage?
I have,
You can do
I'm
Shao.
that's your might, but yeah, you guys are right. I should probably go with you. Honestly, Frank, I'm gonna let you comment on this because I know you and CO we roomed together. You know, you saw Dialogue. I think he won that tournament, right? When he threw that freaking chair and caused controversy. You probably have a lot more to say about him, at least more informed opinion. So I'm gonna let you go first on this one.
I won't speak too much about Shao. Like I think some people place him like high A tier. Some people even say S tier. I've never fought him offline enough, but um, I'm thinking B tier.
I
Um,
have him in A mostly because he gets results, and I think that's standing two against. I know he can be mashed on, but he also has one of the best jumping attacks in the game. So essentially, it's like, yeah, you can mash, he could jump, or he can also do his sweep, and then he can call sector missile. I think that character is strong. People who think that two should be mid, I think they don't know anything about fighting. And I mean, that would be just like you can't play the fucking game, right? Cowboy, imagine if standing two was mid. Would you have
Oh,
fun?
yeah, that'd be great. Have a great time. Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about him?
Yeah, definitely for me, top of A. You can make an argument for S. I would say top of A.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where I have him. Yeah, that's where I have him.
like you just, I don't know how you play neutral against that character. I mean, yeah, stand two is one of the best buttons in the game,
But should it be
and
a mid?
oh yeah, sure, sure. Not only is that one of the best buttons, but yeah, as you said, his jump in is absurd. I mean, basically, if Shao Kahn gets within like starting round distance, you've lost neutral because his options are just better than yours, most likely, unless you're like Sindel. So I just don't know what you do against it. And then, of course, yeah, another mix-up character, especially with the axe. Really, really strong armored move, one of the best in the game, I would say. Um, yeah, huge damage, extra health. Again, very privileged. I really don't think he has many flaws at all.
Yeah, he can be matched on certain matchups if you have a really strong low poke.
Right, right,
He can be zoned depending. Again, it's not.
kind of.
When I say zoning, guys, I'm not talking about injustice zoning. This game is not about that, and I hope you developers do something about it. But um, it doesn't
Yeah,
mean much, right? But maybe if he's playing Sector, or if he's playing Kung Lao, maybe he can be zoned to some extent. Maybe Kitana, but yeah, it's rough. Like if you try to play like traditional footies with him, you're not mashing on him. You're just gonna get by standing to over and over and over again, and you're gonna get mixed. I mean, that's just the way it works. I agree with Cowboy. I think he should be A for sure. What order? I don't know, but he should be an A.
he'd be top of A in my opinion.
Yeah.
all right, he's going in A then.
All right, let's talk about Johnny Cage. Obviously, a character who got nerfed a lot. Still strong in my opinion. Again, not necessarily because he got nerfed, because the meta has kind of shifted, right? When low hat was plus, oh my god, oh my god, like it was
Pretty crazy.
essentially, yeah, it was just insanity. But obviously, low hat is minus now. He's a character, not to the fact that he got nerfed, but just like he got a little bit power crept by Homelander, by Havoc, who got a million buffs. I still think he's an A tier, maybe a mid, slightly lowerish A tier, if I may say. Still got the eight, whatever was it, 9 frame, forward three. Still one of the best armor moves, especially in terms of punishment. Um, oh my God, jumping attack. We know, you guys
Oof.
know, you can't entire that stuff. So I think it's just the fact that with a lot of the cameos, he cannot use because it kind of lowers health. And he needs back throw combos, but not too many characters give that to him. And if he picks those cameos, then he kind of loses certain other stuff. But I still have him in A. I think he's solid. Nothing really that wrong with him. Cabo, what do you think?
I'd agree. I'd say middle to upper A. I mean, he has pretty much every tool you need. Movement is extremely strong. I don't think he really struggles with zoning at all. I mean, with how fast he moves and having a 9 frame
Oh
normal.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Great point. Great point.
Yeah, one of the best fatal blows in the game, I would say, for sure. In fact, yeah, I mean, this is some Quan bullshit, but I play against cages who like they do the fatal blow and then they just cancel it, and they do it specifically just to get rid of the portal that I put out, like the one that I spent bar on. It gets rid of all of them instantly. So yeah, he really great parry, great armor move. It's super fast, really great pressure, and yeah, I would just say those characters that like Ghostface has a loop of a vortex, which is obviously stronger. So I'd say like mid A, really good character.
Yep. Frank, go ahead.
I think I'm still kind of conflicted on what his best cameo would be because Movado, with Movado, I would say he has one of the best armored moves in the game because he just launches off Shadow Kick.
Correct.
And it's a 10 frame special that almost goes full screen. But then you get throw combos with Chameleon. Janet, you do as well, but you don't get other things with Janet that you do with Chameleon. So I'm kind of conflicted at what his best cameo is, but they both subtract his health to 90, so that's not fun.
I wonder what that's like having 90 health.
Uh, yeah, I know all about it using Garrus and
Right.
Quan. I can relate to you on that. Sometimes 850 is Quan. That's demonic right there.
Never.
Uh, but yeah, Johnny, I feel like he's probably better off with having the armor launch, but I could be wrong on that. And I still think hype is slightly underused
Right.
because that gives him armor and his enhanced versions of his moves essentially.
Yeah, I think it depends on the matchup. I was listening to whose channel was it? Oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank and I completely apologize. But Zombats. Like he was saying, essentially you kind of have to pick and choose. And I think that's another, I believe what Cowboy he was the one who mentioned, like throw combos are a huge deal. Well,
Yes.
if you have to switch your cameo constantly to uh to based on the matchup, that's probably not a good thing. you know, and he might have to do that, right? Like, yeah, maybe Mavado against Sub-Zero, right, for obvious reasons, but maybe not Mavado for, I don't know, Cyrax, right? I don't know. I'm just, you know. So that's another thing, you probably have to use multiple cameos depending on the matchup, and that I feel like that kind of holds you back because that means in a tournament setting you can be counterpicked rather easily. So, but I think he's still strong. He's still solid. Obviously, got nerfed a lot, but not to the extent that he's useless. So I have him personally in A, and I think that's a good place for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Side note on that. Yeah, actually think. I mean, I know you said that's a weakness, and I kind of agree. But I think like having to choose different cameos should be how the game is. To be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah, yeah,
like that
absolutely.
is how it should go.
Yeah.
And you're talking to some privileged top tiers when like they think they should be able to pick one cameo and bulldoze their way through everything, as if like that's balanced. Like that's what the game should not be. Like Cage
Yeah,
would be a good example of closer to balance, I think.
yeah. Speaking of somebody who's not balanced, um, I don't really. So when I talk about this game, honestly, I'm pretty much peaceful and pretty reasonable for the most part, except this character, or maybe one other. We'll get later to that character. Kenshi is just a disaster of a character. Even Tweety, he made a recent, he uploaded a recent video talked about Kenshi. It's just like this character is not fun to play against, not fun to watch. Oh my God, he has been a Sento sandwich. I wonder what's gonna happen. Well, yeah, he's gonna win. You fucking idiot. Like, what do you think is gonna happen? Like, you think you're gonna
Yeah.
guess right 5, 6, 7, 8 times? Of course, you're not gonna guess right that many times. Nobody can, right? So the character's just dumb. I don't like him. Yeah, he has bad matchups and he's not performing to the extent that the other S tier characters are. But of course, he's S tier. I don't like this character at all. I'm not saying he should get nerfed. I think he should get nerfed and buffed. Like I think maybe Sento recall should cost 2 bars, but give him something, give him a couple other things in return. Um, Not fun to play against at all. Not at all, especially in a game where zoning is not that strong anyway. Cowboy, am I exaggerating or?
No, you're right. I think Kenshi is terrible for the game. Um, just the idea that you can just be locked out, literally unable to do anything. I don't see how that's good. Like I don't know who thinks that's fun or like, a good competitive thing. I don't even know if he necessarily has like horrible matchups. Like yeah, I'm sure he has to get in some matchups a little more than others, but he has really good buttons. He has what the forward two. He has a decent down poke, decent enough armor when he needs it. Yeah, he's incredibly oppressive.
And yeah, and just like to be fair to the Kenshi players, there's no question this character requires execution,
For
requires
sure. Yeah,
knowledge.
for
Yeah,
sure.
there's no, it's nothing on the Kenshi players. I think you guys are I know you guys are better than me, like for doing what you do. It's just that like guys, please understand, like watching that stuff and whether you're commentating or playing, it's just so annoying, dude. We hate that stuff, man. It's so fucking annoying. Essentially, like he hits you once and he can literally, so he's never out of the game. Like he could be down 80, 90%, doesn't matter. Like if he puts you in a sandwich, he will make you guess like 6 times fucking MKX Quan Chi, like in his prime. So it's not fun to watch and it's not fun to play. That's all we're saying. But again, in terms of execution, knowledge of the game and everything, no question asked. You guys are top notch. Franco, your turn.
He's by far my least favorite character to fight against. I think it's bullshit that his fatal blow can be used to switch back into stances like pseudo, like and it reaches super far on block, so chances of not really getting punished. So if he's in sword stance, like if Sento stance is in play, but like Sento isn't out, and he can use the fatal blow when Sento's out, but if he does Fatal Blow and Sento stance, he goes back to Balance stance, so he doesn't have to take the risk of swapping stances in neutral, which I think is like a super dumb thing that shouldn't exist. I think switching into Sento stance would definitely cost a bar, and I really don't feel like using any more of my precious oxygen talking about this bullshit character.
Yeah, and there's like situations where, I mean, Sento just lasts for so long, and like you said, there's just no way you're gonna guess right every time. There are some options like you can armor, but you can only really do that if he goes for like a straight up mix up. He can choose to JO you in the whole time if he wants, at least depending on the spacing. So yeah, it's just really uninteractive, and I don't see why it's a good thing and should be in the game, personally.
Yeah, it's funny. But let's move on and talk about Katana. So Katana is I may catch some. I know she's like a controversial character, but I'm just gonna speak my mind if I may. She's in the wrong game. It has really good zoning, really good footsies. With Jax, obviously she got buffed as well. With Jax, she gets like unholy damage. If you use Sector, you can get back throw combos and do a lot of damage. One of the highest ones in the game. But obviously no overhead, a lot of like strings with gaps. No plus strength, so she's really suffering in like the quote unquote brain dead department that a lot of the S tier characters have. And I feel like when I use her, I have to actually like make somebody whiff, and then I get to punish them. But if I want to play like that, why wouldn't I just be using Homelander? He's a lot scrubbier. He has a better button. He has a command throw that's half screen. So why am I using this character? Why am I wasting my time? I put her in B personally. I know a lot of people may see that as downplaying. And to be fair, I'm not that strong in that like gameplay style. I think to be user effective, you kind of have to play like a offensive footsie style, force people to whiff, and then punish them a lot, and then maybe turtle from there on. I'm I'm not the fucking Katana model here. I'm not what you guys should be looking up to, but I'm curious. Cowboy. I'm sure you've played better katanas than I have. What do you think about her? What do you think she stands?
I think she's like it's comparable to like Johnny Cage, a solid A tier character. Also, I mean, yeah, obviously whiffing is part of it. She definitely, footsies is a big thing for her. She has a really good sweep too, by the way. Very strong.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, for sure.
But really, to me, she's really good up close, like very good. She has multi-hitting strings that like you're not gonna follow slot consistently. Um, Very easy to auto shimmy with them. And then of course, you can do the thing where you do part of the string and then back up and whip flemish. She has a decent mind game, although it is a little gimmicky, but still pretty good. Where she can do the special off of a poke, which adds another layer to her strike throw. She has an armored launcher with certain cameos like Jax, which again, that's one of the honestly one of the elite things in this game is having an armored launcher.
But the
Uh,
armor launch is really like that launcher is really short range. Like
and that
and
doesn't
it's not
matter. You can still use it.
fair enough, but it's not like crazy like Kung Lao's or
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying it's the best, but
yeah.
that's really strong. So I think she's a very good character. Again, just not quite the level of broke of like S tier characters, but I don't think she has like a huge weakness.
Franco.
I think she's like a solid A tier character too, like maybe above Johnny. Um, she does have like decent armor, but not amazing armor. Like she can use it to punish some gaps if need be. It's not like an armored attack you would use in neutral like Kung Lao. She has like silly shit with Jax, like uh, the the 2-4-2 string or whatever, the 2-4-1-2 string into up the meterless launcher or the down forward 2 whatever the fuck it's called into like ground pound for free damage plus chip damage unless they flawless block. Um, I think the best thing about her is if you do get an opening, she could do like the fan bomb combos into like the grab and launch off of that. It's like a pure 50-50. Or maybe not a pure 50-50 because they made it to where throws don't trigger armor, but you have a really good mind game with the fan bomb on Oki with throws, or you could do the squall to be plus on block, that new move she was given, and she just hits really hard. You can't really turtle her because of the downward fan unless you can just flawless block everything, then props to that person. So like if she has a life lead on you, you're gonna have to get in on her, and having to get in on her really good sweep, and her 1-1's a decent like auto shimmy attempt. Uh, I would say she's probably mid to low A tier.
Yeah, and I should say the down. I'm sorry, 1-1 into Jack's down cameo that also jails, which is really really strong. It's like +7 or +8, so that's really really powerful. Um, so yeah, I guess democracy wins. You guys can put her in. I would put her like lower A, but you guys can decide.
Yeah, middle way.
Okay. Next up, we have. Oh boy, let's talk about armor, boys. This is what more characters should be like in this freaking game.
Oh my god.
Kung Lao. Kung Lao.
SM, you want the last word?
No, in this case, I want the first word.
Okay.
Dude, I love Kung Lao. Kung Lao's super fun to play. Obviously, he's one of my main characters. Love the armor with 2 bars that save. I think it should be plus, but I apologize.
You just want MKX Tremor, man. Pre-patch MKX Tremor.
You guys want to play Tremor? This is the closest character you're gonna get. 2-1 is your 4-2-1. Obviously, armor is armor. Down 4 is your down 4. He has one of the best projectiles in the game, which is pretty sad because that kind of tells you the state of the zoning in this game. But it's one of the best in the game. To control space, especially aerial space, which is so hard to control in this game. I think he pretty much, I don't want to rant too long, he pretty much has everything, except his footies are kind of weak. So if you fight really good players, like the 2 gentlemen here in this conversation who have played me for a long time, is they kind of know where to stand. If you stand at the right range, essentially, they're going to duck your projectile, they're going to walk out of your missile with sector, they're going to be out of down 4 range, and they will know exactly where, they will be out of your armor range because that's, they know that's going to come at some point. So that range, I haven't really figured out yet how to deal with it. So I feel like that's the reason why online Kale probably uses Homelander more than Kung Lao. Nonetheless, I would put him in A, mid A, maybe slightly towards the top. He's very fun. He's one of the few like unreactable overheads to the neutral. But at the same time, you're kind of getting away with that a lot. A lot of people don't know the matchup. They'll block that. They will not punish you. They will not have the right proper defense to deal with 2-1. So there's some stuff you can do. But if you don't know the matchup, then obviously he's like super S tier. Again, if you understand it, however, then a mid-range game he kind of struggles, and it can be a pain in the butt to fight the better players. Cowboy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Kung Lao's really strong. He, definitely an A somewhere. There's no way he's in B or C.
I agree.
There's an argument to be made. I don't know if I'd agree that he's S tier, but I think yeah, he has pretty much everything you need. He has some of the best armor in the game. Really decent space control, very good mobility, which is an underrated thing in MK1. And then really good offense. That 2-1 is very strong. Can mix ups. I don't think he has many weaknesses other than maybe I guess just like a string that advances, but he doesn't need that.
Yeah, that's an issue for sure. That's another thing I forgot to mention. It's so good to have you guys, because you guys mentioned other stuff that people are forgetting. But yeah, it's kind of hard. Like Franco, like randomly do back. What is that? Gears back 1-2 to whatever in the neutral. Like, and I see it coming, and I will try to punish it back 2, and I just whiff. So this character has like massive issues, like in footsies and with punishing. So, but obviously he makes up for the fact, with save armor and some of the other stuff that he does. Franco, what do you think?
Other than having T-Rex arms, I think he's pretty good. I would say A tier as well. And I think he has some cameo flexibility. Like, I remember Ninja Killa popped out Kung Lao and Janet in pools and did like some 68% combo or something in the corner. Godlike execution on his part. Janet gives him back throw combos. Pretty decent damage for a back throw combo. Um, Kung Lao Shujinko is kind of niche, but I've seen it before. But yeah, usually it's either Kung Lao Sector or Kung Lao Movado. Just probably depends on the matchup, I'd imagine.
Correct. Yes.
And
Correct.
he also has, I think, the smallest jump hurt box in the game. It's kind of frequent for him to have a really small hurt box with his jump, just a random thing to throw in there.
Yep. I think let's put him in mid A for right now. Next up, we have Lee May. I think I tried to use this character, and so did Rewind. Obviously, I'm nowhere near his level, but I think the problem with this character is that she like has really stubby buttons, and aside from that, like footsie's range, she has one great projectiles. But the problem is that's the only thing she has. And if she picks, I don't know, let's say Kung Lao, then she gives a lot of the conversions that she can do. Because when she picks Scorpion, she does all these like 50%, 45% combos. But when she doesn't have Scorpion, then she kind of suffers. So she kind of has to pick and choose, to use Cowboy's word. She kind of has to play the balanced version of the game. Whereas a lot of the characters do not. They get to have everything. And she does not get to have everything. She has to pick and choose. Cowboy, what do you think?
Yeah, well, Lee May is a good character. If the top tiers weren't as good as they are, she would be better. I would say, I mean, in terms of tier position, probably like B, top of B.
I would
Yeah,
put
really,
it C. Because
that seems extreme to me.
yeah, I don't know, man. She doesn't really have that many results, and I think she doesn't really have like launching armor. She gets a launching throw with Scorpion, but I can see maybe B, but I don't know. Like
Has
I'm just
launching
the
armor.
results are kind of missing. Go ahead.
I mean, she gets like good extensions with Scorpion and Movado off of her move. At least what I've seen.
That's the problem, and you kind of give up, your footsies and your long range because I think her projectile is super easy to flawless block because that's the only thing she's going to do. And then you can kind of outzone her or out turtle her with a lot of characters, in my humble opinion.
Right.
And again, it's the problem. Like she has to pick and choose, where the other guys do not have. When Havoc picks Movado, what does he lose? Nothing, right? What do you
Yeah.
lose? I don't know what you lose. But when she picks Scorpion, she loses some stuff. When she picks Kung Lao, she loses the damage. So
Right.
that's the kind of way I evaluate this game, and in this particular case, that's how I evaluate her. Franco, your word?
Sorry, one more thing
Of course.
before. There is something too that's really strong that people just seem to have forgotten about, and it's the
Oh
fact
yeah,
that
yeah.
she
No,
has that
I know who you're
special,
gonna. Yeah,
the
yeah,
special that can punish pokes. Like, how is that not insanely good?
yeah.
I mean,
For sure.
yeah, I think with that tool, there's no way she'd be like a C tier character. Again, I'm not saying she's broken, but she has some really good tools.
Yeah, let's settle on B tier. I think no, those are good points for sure. Franco, what do you think?
I think she's probably B tier too, and I actually want to pick her up a bit more after Texas Showdown. Like being able to punish pokes, the majority of her strings
Yeah.
are safe or plus. Like 1-2, I think is +3. 2-1, I believe, is plus unblock. 2-1-4, I think
Yeah,
is also plus unblock. Back three is plus unblock. She hits pretty hard. Slow armor, but reaches pretty far. So like if something whiffs and you're in range for that meter burn knee, then launch her into Scorpion or Movado, Janet, whatever. They are very awkward conversions depending on the cameo too. Like Scorpion's probably the easiest to convert off of with the armor. I remember talking to Rewind about her a little bit, and he said like some conversions are awkward depending on the distance you land the knee. So I think her and Garrus are like the highest probably execution characters, are definitely one of that. That's like one thing we kind of talked about earlier, and I think she isn't fully fleshed out yet and could creep up a little bit more. But and she also has instant air flip kicks, which is an overhead. Yeah, it's unsafe, but 50-50 nonetheless, which is really good. Um, yeah, I'd say B tier, like low B tier. I think she's got potential, and she does get throw combos too, but they're just very difficult. She gets throw combos with Scorpion, Janet, and Movado. Movado being the easiest throw combo.
Yeah, thank you for. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, she's not. This is not a scrubby character. Like, you want to do those Scorpion combos, you have to practice that stuff. And I'm not saying they're like one frame sweep out of four links, but if you try that stuff, it's not easy. Like, you have to know the height. You have to know how many resources do I want to use. What do I want to spend on? What do I have after? She is not a scrubby character. She's very, very difficult to use, and props to all the Lime players who have stuck with her. You guys are putting in the work for sure. Um, let's move on and talk about Kung Lao, the poster boy of the game. I think there's almost no way he's anything below an 8 tier. Can we all agree on that?
Hold up, did
wait,
you just say Kung Lao? I think
Kung
you meant to
Lao.
say Liu Kang.
Liu Kang. I apologize.
Ooh,
Liu Kang.
Hmm. Yeah,
Can we agree that he's not lower than A?
I agree.
agree.
Very
I
strong.
don't want to go into too much depth. I think the reasons are pretty obvious. He
Yeah,
has probably the best strike throw in the game, right? Like the kind of loops. He can break armor. Also, he's got probably one of the best zoning tools in the game. Low fireball that actually crouches under high fireball, which is very rare in this game because NR is so afraid of zoning. Um, has an excellent area fireball as well. Good high fireball. With Motaro, he gets to spam whatever that thing is, and if he hits, he gets to do combos from anywhere on the screen. Um, the only issue that he has is just like in the mid range. Mid range game, he kind of suffers, right? He doesn't have the best mid range game. Cowboy.
yeah, really, really strong. I think, yeah, he has a tool for every situation. I think it's pretty crazy. Like his zoning is better than some zoners, which
Yeah.
is a different discussion.
One.
Yeah, yeah. Um, really just brain dead armor break, auto shimmy, really easy strike throw. Yeah, very annoying character. Access to plus frames. Basically has everything. And honestly, I don't know if I necessarily agree, even with what you said about the mid range, just because his movement is so strong. I mean, he can be, in and out of your face in like a half a second.
True.
So I think the movement is definitely like, if you don't have a great normal, it's like, long reaching, that's the equalizer. And he has great movement.
Yeah,
So
one thing I'm gonna mention before I let Franco talk is what is the standing one is like 6 frames, right? Is it?
Yeah, he's another character who can punish like noobs back through three string.
Yeah, so that's it's not talked a lot about because maybe online it's not a consistent punish, but guess what? Offline it will be. So you get to punish certain stuff, and I think that's like one of those things that's super important because now you get to punish something nobody else can punish, and it does make a difference. I think A for sure. I don't know where Franco. What do you think? What does he stand in the A tier?
I think mid A tier probably. Yeah, I think his movement isn't the best. Like his dash doesn't go very far. His walk speed's fine, but he has a double side hitting jump kick, which is super annoying. One of the best sweeps in the game. I think it's +2, +3. It's very fast, so like he could do sweep and sweep as like block pressure, and obviously his forward four will beat most things, if not all counter pokes. I just don't remember the block advantage on it. And back two's not the best mid, but it's not a bad mid either. Back two one's like a safe gapless mid option, and yeah, the six frame jab is probably like the biggest selling point for me, honestly, because being able to punish, like you said, super rare things that usually go unpunished by most of the roster is a huge deal.
Yeah, like Garrus's what is it, back 1 2 or whatever that string is. Like
Yes, correct. Yeah, it's -7.
yeah, that is stuff like that is huge. Or like the Baraka overhead. Yeah, there's a lot of like the noob string. Yeah, it's really a big deal. So I wouldn't put him below A at all. Like I think he's A, probably mid. Speak of another A tier character, I would put Melina in that category as well. I don't have much to say because I think if you watch Dexy or Hourglass, it should be pretty self-explanatory why she's up there. Um, I'm gonna let one of you guys take away. So go right ahead and talk about Melina.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's honestly sort of comparable to Shao in a sense, where yeah, she has like a minor weakness, but she has plenty of tools to make up for it. Really, really great at whiff punishing, maybe one of the best in the game.
For sure.
Um, uh, not a great armored move, but good enough to get out of most situations. Uh, she at any time basically can check you with ball roll, which is super frustrating because again, that has really good range. She can even, I mean, and one of the teams I've been seeing a little bit more lately is, team up with Farah, which I think is really strong because then, she has mix, but also can make you guess and, kind of have some mind games off of her teleports whenever she chooses. So I think that, yeah, top of A is a good place for her. Really good damage too.
Franco, go ahead.
I think she's definitely top of A because, like you said, like Melina is just very popular in online tournaments with Dexy, Hourglass. With Chameleon, I think she's like the best user of Chameleon. Like that's like the best like synergy that I could think of in a team because her forward four becomes a launcher with fan lift into meter burn ball or meter burn aerial ball into the size and then ball roll on the ground for a full combo. She gets throw combos with fan lift into a conversion that leads to Melina size and it's like 20 something damage. Glaive's obviously a nice tool to have. Ball roll, like you said, Cowboy is a really good move to use in neutral and can punish a lot of things on whiff or even reversal punish things on block like maybe fatal blows with like really annoying pushback. Uh, I know a lot of people nitpick at her 1-2 string having exploits to it, but it's really difficult to consistently read that and punish it. And she can also full combo off of her low side meter burn, or actually meterless, I think, too, with fan lift into aerial ball roll and then the size and so on. So she just gets so much. She literally puts you in a blender with several tools, like whether it be throw, low side, forward four launch. I think she's an easy high A tier, potentially low S tier, but I'm gonna keep her at highest of A tier.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good call. The next character is very honest. Her name is Natara.
Yeah.
Yeah, about that. Um,
Yeah.
right after Kenshi, maybe the second or third most annoying character in the game. I don't like her at all. I'm glad she got buffed, and I'm glad that this gameplay style exists. I wouldn't nerf her, but I don't know. Maybe I just suck at the game, even though I'm approaching Elder God. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like I just don't. Cowboy, teach me how to fight against this character. Give me some
Yeah.
tips.
First of all, I'll just say, yeah, she's an S tier character. She absurd mobility, some of the absolute best of the game, probably the best in the game, I would say. Just because she can at will kind of go around the screen. She has a good mix up, 50-50, right? Really, really good staggers and auto shimmy. I'd say one weakness would be an armored move is not very good. Um, now, if you want to teach, I've had to learn this too, but the way that you beat her basically is just by not doing anything. Essentially it. Like you basically put her in a position
You
where
I should not be up. I
if she
should be
wants
up
to,
or not.
what?
Should I be up blocking against this character
Yes,
or not?
most
Okay.
definitely. You need to challenge with the up block. And then once you've established that mind game, then you need to start anti-airing her. Which isn't always easy because that dive kick tends to eat things. But yeah, basically who will blink first, right? If she is right with a dive kick or something like that, she's doing 50% and the round is probably over. But if you up block or if you anti-air, then there's not a whole lot you can do. You can kind of turtle her out in some situations. So yeah, a definite S tier, just not as impressive as the characters above her.
In very polite terms, how do you explain her lack of consistency as far as placings are concerned?
Yeah, this has been a talking point it's kind of annoying because people say it for multiple characters, including Nitara. It's like, well, why aren't more people playing her? Well, because no one is saying she's the best in the game. Pro players are just going to play the absolute best. She is still can still be a super strong top tier character without being super common. That's my explanation. There's just characters that are a little bit better. Doesn't mean there's a problem with her.
No, yeah, fair enough. Franco, what do you think? Do you have her in top of A, or do you have her like row S, or maybe somewhere else?
I have her at top of A because she has 900 health. She's like a pretty good definition of a glass cannon. Like, uh, as far as I know, she doesn't get throw combos, which thank God. Um, so I do feel like you can turtle her to an extent. Um, I believe Pharah is probably her most common cameo, so she does get a little extra health and some aerial mind games with up Pharah ambush, like maybe after dive kick into Pharah ambush. So like uh, fishing for up blocks all the time is pretty scary probably because she could just easily bait that with like a aerial cancel into like sweep into full combo or throw. Uh, and she doesn't have the best mid options. Like forward one's her best mid. Um, I would say she's top of A tier, like next to Melina, like after. And she doesn't have the best armor either. Like she has the spit move that's a high and is punishable on block. So you're really only going to use that to interrupt gaps and strings. And you can full combo off of that with like Kung Lao, Motaro ambushes, but usually that's not the team you're using with her. So I'd
Yeah,
say top
real
of A
quick,
tier.
how do you fight against this character?
I try to get an opening on her. Like, as Garrus, we both she usually has 950 health because of Farah, but I try to get one opening and then I let her just I try to run away from her because she can't really build bar except with like whiffing dive kick, and that's kind of risky as some characters for her to just whiff dive kicks to build bar because she doesn't build bar when she does uh, the float cancels.
Oh,
Um,
she does.
so yeah, the only way she could build bar is doing special moves that aren't the air cancels. So if she could build bar off the air cancel, she would be easy S tier. But her meter build being like limited to like whiffing dive kicks or just block pressure, um, I think kind of keeps her in check a little bit, along with the slight other weaknesses she has, in my opinion. But yeah, I usually try to run away with like life lead against her. And most Natara players do not play patient enough. I feel like a patient Natara player is a really scary thing, kind of similar to like what I said about peak level
Like,
Ermac.
yeah, that's what I feel like Cowboy might be right. Like, if lot of the people, and I'm just quoting the people who use it, they have ADHD. So if they could actually calm down and play a more turtling, relaxing style, I feel like she could be even be scarier. I say we follow Cowboys lead, just put like lower S tier for right now. Because at least on paper, I think she definitely has the potential to be up there. Um, but let's move on and discuss the next character, Noob. I think do we? Is there anybody who's saying that he's not? Yeah, I mean, I don't even know anybody. I think this one's pretty obvious. I don't know where in S tier we would place him, but
Hmm.
um, I'm trying to see. The one thing I don't like about this character is like, why is this teleport better than Sector's? I don't understand. Like, he's not a zoner. Why does he have that? Um, his buttons, like, sometimes just like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, they just like have like random hitboxes that just hit you out of nowhere. Um, I think everything else is legit aside from those two things. Again, I'm approaching the matchup as a zoning character, but I would put him in S. I don't know where you guys want to put him. I think Kyle should probably get the last word on this since he uses him. Franco, what say you?
I would say the bottom of S. Um, he has pretty much everything except like uh, a strong runaway projectile game. His shadow is disjointed. His uh, his like shadow clone projectiles, I think, actually go past like ice clone and just ignore projectiles. So that's pretty cool. He hits pretty hard. Has like his tricky portal setups and just really good Oki with every touch he usually gets. So I think he's a easy low S tier character.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I'd say low S tier. Yeah, really, really solid character. I'd say he's definitely more like rush down, footsies. And to answer your question, Dave, I think he has the teleport because he can kind of be zoned. I mean, especially without that. Like, he has to get at a certain range where he's a little more comfortable. So yeah, I think he's really strong. His only real weakness to me is the armor, because yeah, it can be jumped over pretty easy. Homelander really fucks with it because he's in the air a lot. Not the fastest, but it has good range. But really though, new his offense is what shines. He has a 50-50. He can do throw combos. That's one of the check boxes for top tiers.
I think
Um,
to sorry. You
yeah,
go.
he has really really good setups. I mean, Dave, you were seeing this earlier, where he
Yeah.
can do huge damage off of mix-ups after he touches you. Feels very nice. So yeah, he basically just does all of the things that are good in MK1, I would say, and that's why he's an S tier character.
I think he does have a pretty high skill ceiling too, as far as execution. So
I agree.
I don't think he's going to be a character you watch a Sonic Fox video and you're like, oh, I'm about to pull this in ranked and win. Like
Mhm.
he has like the hardest overhead conversion combo in the game probably with 4-3 Janet.
Mine are getting better, right, Dave?
No, 100%.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Like, you guys know who one of my closest friends is in this community, and when people like Tom make the case, the offense is scrubby. That's not my argument. I'm not arguing that offense is scrubby in this game, or well, the Cowboy learning noob is, has he turned to the dark side? Is he a scrubby player? That's not my argument. I think what people are doing is that's one of the things that this game gets right. Most of the stuff that people are doing, with some exceptions, obviously, just there are exceptions, in any fighting game, requires a lot of work, requires a lot of skill, and if you're doing it, you are a great player, in my humble opinion. My talking point, and I'll say this for another podcast, is the fact that the offense is way too strong in this game. In contrast to the zoning, and that's my like. That's the point. Yeah, Cowboy mentions, oh, it's just an additional tool that he has. Okay, give Sector that teleport. Let me show you what it feels like when you try to jump randomly, and then I land a 30% into vortex. How does that feel? How about I land a 30% of vortex, and I take another like 30 to 40. I lost the game. It's not a minor thing when you're trying to use zoning in this game. So I don't understand why he has that. I don't mind that. You can have even better offense. I don't care. But you have to earn your way in. And this game has no concept of earning you away. And why? You guys just saw what the Sandel players did at those tournaments. Like they hit you once or twice, that you win. Not even. Oh, I'm sorry, they don't even hit you. Like they do the tremor stuff. Like on block, you get them mixed up. It's what a joke. It's a joke. The game needs better defense. The game needs better zoning, and some of these characters need buffs on armor, on their projectiles, and et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's the way to improve this game. But I will rest my case. That because again, that's a separate conversation. Let's talk about Omni Man. Cowboy, what say you, Omni Man?
Ugh. I mean, I have bias against this character. I really cannot stand him. Destroys my main. Having said that, I still like. I obviously realize that he's not like a top tier or anything. I would say, yeah, he has really good damage. Honestly, really free mix depending on his cameo. Like, you put out the Lao hat, and or like the Tremor projectile, and you basically just do what you want. I think that's pretty strong. Pretty decent armored move with Movado at launches, which I think is insane. Really, in fact, he has great synergy with Movado. The clap, especially, lets him kind of get easy conversions. Yeah, I think he's a good character. I think he's definitely downplayed a little bit. Like that he's this garbage, horrible character. I would say probably B tier, in my opinion.
I think the one thing, in my humble opinion, the problem with him is that his mid range game is kind of lacking. He really needs the clap to be good, but obviously, if you buff the clap, he's gonna cause probably massive issues in other matchups. So he doesn't really have any like disjointed like normal attacks. Um, I think his best cameo is probably Mavado, but that again, it's one of those things, man. I used to think it was scrubby, then I tried some of those Mavado combos, dude. That shit's hard. Like you really have to be a great combo. You have to be a combo specialist to do that stuff. So I would probably put him, to be honest with you, I would probably put him in. Let me see. I have him like upper C tier, mostly because again he struggles against a lot of the characters at that mid range. Because how are you gonna play the mid range game with somebody like Noob or, like Homelander? Can you imagine that matchup? Like what do you do? I don't know. So I do think he has issues, and I think he needs a buff or two, but nothing too drastic, because I think that can kind of interfere with the game's balance as a whole. Franco, what say you?
I think he's low B tier or high C tier. I think he just has some useless moves like aerial clap. You're like never going to use
Oh my
that.
god!
Um,
Why is that in the game?
his forward two at the highest level is not going to land in a high level set like that overhead that is punishable on block and doesn't lead to combos without cameos. Or I think it might launch in the corner meterlessly without cameos,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's definitely got some useless moves. I think Movado is definitely his best cameo, and he does have some of the best meterless damage, if I'm not mistaken. Like along with like Scorpion and maybe Takeda and like Garrus. Um, yeah, I think and it also his meter burn clap conversions with Movado. The timing of everything varies on where the opponent's standing. So like, if you call on Movado too early at a certain distance where the opponent's standing, Movado could just whiff, and then you just wasted a bar and don't get your full combo, and you wasted cameo. So he is very high execution and situational in some areas, which is definitely annoying as far as like the situational stuff goes and the inconsistencies. Um, he does have a really strong jump kick. I can't stand trying to anti-air that thing.
yeah,
I'd probably
yeah.
say low B tier with his armor mind games too, which sometimes his armor conversions drop too with Movado, unfortunately. It's kind of like reptile sweep into up Movado. Sometimes it just drops for no reason.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would put him like maybe top C for right now.
If he didn't,
Arguably,
oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I
No,
was
no,
going
go
to
ahead,
say
please.
if he didn't have those inconsistencies, I would say he'd for sure be like a B tier. But I would say either high C, low B.
Let's move on and talk about Peacemaker. Obviously, a character who got
Ooh,
demolished.
man. These next 30 minutes are probably going to be the biggest parts of the
Yeah,
podcast
I
because the
know.
next letters are P and Q, baby.
Yeah, the next two might, well, um, I think honestly most of the nerves are warranted, except maybe two of them. I do think that the Eagly should have less cooldown, not by much. That's one thing I would get rid of because I think the problem was that he could use it in strings and be like -5 with like tons of pushback, which caused a lot of issues with the runaway. But now that it's like what -15, even if in strings, I don't think it's that problem is kind of gone. So I would reduce the cooldown on the Eagly, maybe give him one other buff, but yeah, like he suffers right now. I don't think he's bad at all. Like you have like people like players like Mighty Unjust using him and they do well. But you can clearly tell that, some of it's kind of gimmicks and he doesn't really have the best offense and he kind of used to use Ferritor. Why, can we have other cameos that shine, with a character that's a zoning character? Why do we want to do more 50-50s? We have Scorpion for that. It would be nice to buff him in a way that's not too oppressive, that requires skill, but that he can be a good zoning character. I don't know the way you do that necessarily in all of his aspects, but I do think he needs help, and he does need some buffs. Cowboy, what say you?
uh, I would say, yeah, I mean, maybe this is a hot take. I think I talked about this earlier, maybe, but I think he's like a B tier character. I mean, yeah, he's definitely not what he was. But and I hear what you mean with the cameos, but like if you have an option that's viable, then I mean, I still think that makes him pretty good. But even if Pharah is the only one that he can really use, that still counts. Yeah, I think he has not really a runaway character, but decent enough to keep you honest. Um, Decent footsie tool with his down poke, and the Eagly, of course. Really, really annoying with the teleports. He can kind of make you guess. I mean, there's ways to blow it up, but it's still something, one of many things you have to look out for in neutral against him. Uh, yeah, I think he's a solid character.
Would you give him a buff or two?
Maybe a slight one, but I don't think he really needs much. I think he's fine.
Franco, thoughts on Peacemaker?
I think he's like high C tier, like high C, like the juice I used to drink as a kid. I think he should get a few buffs to his zoning, like Eagly cooldown. I think should be looked at, and I think meter burn force field should be improved. It's like if I'm not mistaken, um, absorbs like two projectiles and goes away and has that pushback effect if they're close to the opponent. So I think those are like maybe a few things you could look into if buffing him. He does still have anti gravity, which is a really annoying move to deal with, and the elbow drop damage on block is pretty high still, even though they touched it a little bit, I think. Um, his armor move isn't the best, while it does hit like full screen, I think, or very close to full screen. It can't launch, and I don't think you can really run away with it with like pre-patch chameleon fan lift like before. Um, I think you have to cover it with like Kano now, probably on block. But yeah, I think I think what they did to him is pretty messed up. Just not looking back after the nerfs, and I think he should get looked at slightly for some buffs. High C tier though, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's where I have him. I have him in C tier as well. Um, oh boy, here we go. Quan Chi. Quan Chi, I have an either C tier or lower B. I think I think he's just kind of like in the wrong game because of his bad low poke. His armor doesn't have hit half the time. Um, they buffed him a lot as they should have. I feel like maybe they buffed him, quote unquote. They buffed themselves into a corner with him because no character with that armor move really can ever be balanced. It's almost like having a move that heals or having a move that's an unblockable. It usually doesn't end well for the game's balance overall. Um, I mean, can you imagine if like, I don't know, just to pull something out of my ass, like if Johnny Cage had an armor move or, or like Stecto, right? It, it just she would destroy like half the cast. And I feel like any attempt to balance him after giving him that is almost it's not feasible. It's impossible. So I don't know like where you take the character from here. It's very, very hard to say. I do think he needs some love, like he does. Franco talks about a laundry of buffs. I think that would be a major mistake. I think he's just going to get nerfed or would completely dominate like Fujin did. I don't want to. I'm not in that in that camp, but I do think, for example, like improve the tracking on the armor, or maybe make the armor so like if you hit it, you get to hold forward, you get to switch sides. Just like stuff like that. Like give it more. Make the back too. It's 27 frames for God's sake. Make it cancelable. Like maybe you get to cancel do a throw, stuff like that. If you give him like 4 or 5 things, I think he could improve, but not in a way that people are gonna nonstop complain about him, or not in a way that he's just gonna dominate and have to cast because now he just does armor. You can't get anyone near him. Um, Cowboy, am I right or wrong?
I'll go last.
Okay,
Um,
Frank.
I
By
know.
definition,
I
your turn.
oh sorry. You already know my feelings on him, and I think this is probably going to be the most me and Cowboy ever agree on something, ever. But um, I think he's bottom one, and I'm not downplaying. Like honestly, I really don't feel like I am. Like I say that with like uh, the straightest face ever. Like I think Orange Portal's overrated, and I think a lot of people still don't know the Quan matchup to this day. They don't have the fuzzies down, which he has some of the easiest fuzzies. The hardest fuzzy is like 214 low tentacle or 2144. 900 health, slowest poke in the game. Also full combo punishable by some characters. Weak zoning, easy to flawless block for the most part. And the laundry list of buffs I have for him addresses like a very like he has a bunch of just small, minute things that just I feel like don't make sense and that should be better. But I won't get into that. I think the back two.
Give us like a couple of things. Like give us a preview. Like give us like two. I'm sure I'm gonna ask Cowboy the same thing. Like give us 2 or 3 things that you would like to see improved.
the the knockdown boot stomp, like the portal. I just call it the rat stomp, but not stand forward, but the diagonal four. Its input is down plus forward four. I'm just gonna call it rat stomp. I think rat stomp should hit in front of the opponent and not behind. The move doesn't have pushback at all on block. It still has horrible tracking, but a lot of that has to do with forward advancing movement or just any type of sporadic movement in the air. Um, for fuck's sake, Sector straight projectile like forward profiles it advance like her projectile slightly moves forward enough to where stand four whiffs. And I think sometimes even the rat stomp whiffs. Like it just it should just hit in front. That's one thing. I think meter burn skull, the big skull, should eat every projectile in the game except itself. Like that should be the apex projectile in the game. Um, and if I have one more other change I could do, um, I would make aerial skull have less recovery on whiff because it just has way too much recovery on whiff for little reward and space it takes up, in my opinion.
All right. Yeah, he's the worst in the game. If not, like even the most optimistic I would be is like he's bottom five. There's no chance that he's anything outside of that. Shit, where do I start? I mean, he has very few. I'll start with this. I think the design of him was intended to be like, like armor portal and the zoning. Like he'd, probably dominate some characters, but then, get dominated by others to try and balance it out. The issue is that I just don't think he dominates anyone. Like every character in the game at base, like if you just fucking tank it out, you're eating a throw from armor portal. That's it. That's all that's happening. And
Agreed.
and this is against characters who like do 40% into resets. Like it's just not comparable. So
Yeah.
there's that. He just can't like ever really impose his game on many characters. Um,
But
you
not every
essen-
character in the game does. Again, I hate to interrupt, but not every character in the game. Like if you're talking about the top tier, yeah, but isn't it unfair to judge the game by the top tiers?
I mean, it's a pretty high damaging game. Most characters do really good damage. Like even Katana, who's not S tier, like she absolutely destroys him if he if she gets hit or he gets hit.
Why would you get hit by her?
She has some of the best shimmies in the game, man. Her strings are extremely hard to guard
Hey, to be
against.
fair, Dave, to be fair, you did say, why would I use Katana if Homelander exists? Why do I want to try to open up my opponent with
No,
her?
this is the argument you guys are making. Like, I'm not denying that he's one of the weaker characters in the game, but guess what? Unless you're using like the top 10, top 15, guess what? Most characters are not hitting 40% into Vortex. That's the key. Like, yeah, Ghost Faces, yes, Cyrex is. But guess what?
Okay,
Second
that's
is
a tangent, and it's not relevant to what I'm saying. Even if it's not a vortex, pretty much every character does more damage than Quan Chi. In fact, I was struggling to think of a character who doesn't. Like he's the lowest damage character in the game, and that's on top of right. Like this is what's so weird. Like it would make sense if zoning was good in this game, or chip damage and shit. Like the a zoner would be low damage. But I mean, flawless block exists. He's essentially doing no chip or building bar, even when he has his zoning set up, because you can just flawless block all of it. So you don't even have that point of like, oh well, you make up for the low damage with chip. You don't do it. It's too good to flawless block it. Other things, I think he has some horrendous. I think he has the worst matchups in the game.
I agree.
Easily the worst matchup chart. Like there's some matchups where I just legitimately don't know what I'm supposed to do. And like my noob is still pretty young, but like even with a young noob, I still feel like I'm in the game and like fighting. There's times with Quan where I feel like I literally can't do anything. Shit like against Ghostface, right, where he does his string into the low or staggers. He's neutral, so most characters can contest, but essentially that's plus frames against Quan Chi. And you can't you can't get anything on the screen in that situation. In terms of buffs, like I mean, there's so many different things you could do. I think he needs a better poke personally because he just literally can't play the game. And I think that'd be fine because with the hit advantage off of a poke, you could still like his strings all still have gaps in them, so it's not like he'd be like starting free offense. Yeah, he's terrible. He is kind of fun when he works. I mean, that's why I main him. I really do enjoy like throwing out the different portals and kind of setting up pseudo breakers. But yeah, it just isn't good enough. He needs a redesign.
So
I
would you
mean,
put him in C tier?
obviously, yeah.
Bottom one, man. He's already in C tier. I
Bottom
already put
one.
him there.
I
Yeah.
think there's easily five worse characters in my opinion.
No.
No way.
No.
No
This
way.
character is dog shit.
Put Peacemaker below him.
No
Uh,
chance.
No.
certain other characters coming up, but we'll work it out. Let's talk about real quick. Raiden. Well, Cowboy, that's another character you use. I
Yes.
have him in maybe like top B. Is that fair?
I'd say low
Okay.
A. Low A or
Okay.
top B.
Yeah.
Mainly because of Sector. I mean, there's really, really good synergy with that team. I'd say really his problem is just that he's too honest overall. He's, a strong footsie character. In fact, Raiden really took me a while to realize this. He's not a zoner or even just a pure footsies character. He's at his best when he can run away.
Yeah.
Like when he can do a little bit of damage, maybe stagger, get a throw, and then Superman across the screen. If he can do that, he's kind of living. If he can't, then I think he struggles because his offense is just okay. And his armor, as we've discussed before, is not the strongest. It's pretty slow, but he does have some pretty good normals, even if the range isn't the best on him. Other than his down four, which is his best footsie tool. But yeah, solid character, just a little too honest to be like super good.
Franco, where would you put him? I have him again like high B.
I'd probably say high B.
Yeah,
Again, just reiterate real quick. I agree with Cowboy. Like he just happens to have really good synergy with Sector, but obviously he's a character as well who got nerfed a lot, probably for the right reasons because he was too easy to use. What he was doing with the what is it? What
Storm
is that thing?
Cell.
oh
Storm
yeah,
Cell. Yeah,
those are the days.
yeah, those were the days, right? Or maybe those are not the days if you have to fight against it. But yeah, like he suffers as a result, and they were never really. They probably over nerfed that move. Again, it depends how you look at it. But because of Sector, people still use him. He has some okayish results, at least online. I don't think he's anywhere close to a top tier character. He's probably like a mid tier, and I think that's a fair place for him for right now.
Yeah, I
Moving,
think. Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
What?
No, no, no. You go ahead.
Um, I think his specific mechanic to himself, where he takes less chip, is really nice. Like he
Yes.
can be effective with running away and blocking with if you have a good defense. I think he has one of the best down fours in the game. Uh,
Definitely. Yeah.
the new buff he has, I think, is just too situational. It doesn't really balance the reward you get off of it. I think it just goes away on block, and I think it should have been tied with his blocking, like electrical, like the buildup of electricity he gets from blocking. I think that's what the new buff should have been tied to, instead of absorbing three projectiles. And I think he should also be able to launch like the projectiles, even if he has them absorbed. Like instead of having the startup of the orbs come up, he should just be able to straight up throw it. I think those would be like two cool changes he should get to help him a little bit and actually make up for the buff he originally got. But uh, yeah, I think he's a solid B tier character.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should probably look at that move again, give it some depth, make it good, but in a different way, and maybe that will bring him up a little bit. Um, Next character, Rain. I have Rain listed in either upper B or lower A. He's one of those characters I think is good. I don't like, I don't like the fact of what we were promised, and then he turned out the way he is. Guys, here's my buff for a character. Give him a footsie tool that's plus 50 on hit. I mean, you can make any character good that way. Why is he like this? Like, it's so boring. I was hoping for the so-called premier zoning character that we were promised. Doesn't play anything like that, like it. Very disappointing. Rain is one of my favorite ninjas aside from Tremor, right? Um, I don't like the way he plays. Is he good? Again, he is for very boring reasons. Why would you use him when you could use Ermac and Noob and do the same thing, more or less? Um, there are highly talented players like Bendinos who can place well with him, who ironically also use Ermac and Noob. So it's too late to ask for this. Not that I expect NRS to listen to me, but this character needs a redesign. I think he should be more of a zoning character. Then it would be far more interesting in a game where zoning sucks anyway. But yeah, he's okay. Like he's fine. He does a lot of the stuff that that the game is wants you to do. With Janet. But if you're a Rain player, why are you using Rain when you could be using Noob and you could be using Ermac because they kind of play similar and they kind of do the same thing. Again, I'm not saying he's bad because I don't think he is at all. He's just boring because I think he should be like more of a mid-range zoner, kind of like Poison in 3x4 or maybe like at 3x6. But obviously, they were scared to death of zoning, so they designed him in this way, and I think it's just boring. Um, Cowboy.
I think I definitely think more of Rain than you do. I think he has really strong toolkit. Good damage. Again, one of those throw characters, right? That gets combos. Uh,
Why would you use him over Noob and
hold on.
Okay.
Obscene footsies with that back three. Like that shit is just fucking ridiculous, especially since you can cancel it. Um, Armored launcher. I mean, that's two of the huge things that the top tiers have in this game. Throw that launches and an armored launcher. Really great jump normal with the jump three or whatever. Okay setups with the puddle and the overhead. Good cancels. The character has everything. I don't buy him being some like B tier character. I think he's top of A.
King Jr., go ahead.
I think he's mostly just a poor man's Ermac. The only thing he has over Ermac is back three trade combos. If you manage to trade with that in footsies, you're most likely getting comboed. And he also has he almost has like a list whiff cancel from MKX. Like when you buffer back three water cancel, nothing comes out, just back three does. But with Ermac, if you buffer like back two cancel, you're gonna get oh no, actually no, I'm wrong on that. I'm sorry. Um, but I think back three still has a little less recovery frames than Ermac's back 2, and it also has more reach. I know for a fact it has more reach, but other than back 3 being super plus on hit and trade scenarios and having pretty safe on whiff, like I think he's mostly just a worse version of Ermac. But not to say he's unviable or anything. I think he's still like he's B tier in my opinion.
And to be fair, like the armor is better than Ermax or noobs, at least in wake up situations, right? Because it's
Yeah, that's a
fast.
good
Yeah.
point too. That's a good
His
point.
armor is way better than
No,
Noobs.
guys, I'm being fair. I'm not downplaying any of my. I haven't downplayed in a long time. I'm not a competitor. There's no reason for me to downplay. I'm just. I don't think he's bad at all. I haven't beat you as well. I just think. I just wish he were a little bit more interesting. Why do we need many more? Oh, he gets to cover from his throw, back throw. Oh, now armor. Okay, job NRS. We haven't seen that before. How about make a fucking interesting character? Make him a zoning character. Make him actually dominate something. Like that's not what the other top tier characters do. I would have a lot more respect for that character design than what we have right now. Again, it's not a critic of necessarily what he does. That's because it's not bad. But then again, okay, Lee May buff. Her random, give her a random normal that's plus 50 on hit. Oh yeah, now she stopped. Like, come on, man. Like it's boring. Like we have that in the game already. Give us something else. I play the game to express myself. I don't need you guys to make me play the game in the same way what other characters do it. That's boring. That's my criticism. And again, I'm passionate about this because he's one of my characters like that I want to use. But essentially he was the reason why I bought the game. Only to find out he has absolutely nothing to do with the quote unquote premier zoning that we were promised. But yeah, he's okay because why would he not be okay? Because if you give any character what he has, even if they're trash, they're gonna be good because that's what the game is. And I just wish we had a little bit more variety in this game. Uh, but I have him top B, low A. You guys choose. Next one.
Top B, I would say. Also, I will mention his movement's horrible. He has the worst movement in the game. Like his dash goes nowhere. But I will say an honorable mention too is jump 3 OSA is on block and on hit. Like his jump 3 auto cancels into stand 2. It's like a jump kick glitch, or maybe Katana has it too because she has a jump string that's
Oh yeah, yeah.
jump 3-4. It auto corrects a stand 4 on block if it's stand blocked or whatever. But if it lands, it auto combos in the air. So that is one thing he has over Ermac 2. Better armor, the jump kick. But his movement's really bad too. That's another thing that I think holds him back a lot. But top of B tier, I'll put him.
Let's move on. Talk about Reiko. I have Reiko in C tier. I'm generally very supportive of this game because I think they've done an exceptional job of fixing, at least in terms of the meta, most issues that the game used to have. But this is one character that obviously they just botched um, because of the Stars nerf. I don't mind a redesign, but I think if you're going to redesign him, make him an actual grappler and make him actually scary up close. He's one of those characters you see now as much as Tanya, almost never. You guys bitch about Quan Chi. Let's talk about a real bad character. That's this character. Like he does
Rigo is
nothing.
not worse than Quan Chi. That's
100%
stupid.
worse.
That's so
No,
stupid.
no.
That
Frosty
is
Fun.
so
That's
dumb.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Results.
You
Stand against.
can't only go by results though. You already know
I'm
that.
not I'm going by like character usage, results, and on paper. There's no question this character sucks.
He still has
If
command grab combos. No, I'm not saying
Yeah.
he's. I'm not saying he's does like. I'm not saying he sucks, but he's definitely not worse than Quan.
Hell
I
no.
won't accept that.
Hold on a second. So the problem is that if they're gonna make him like an up close character, they should have given him a 1 bar mid command grab.
I agree with
Now
that.
I know a lot of people are gonna complain. Oh my god, he does a lot of. Guess what? All our characters do a lot of damage in this game, and if you don't like it, move on with your lives. NRS cannot say that, but I'm gonna say it for them. Um, he needs to be a lot scary up close. If you're gonna nerf the projectile, if you're not, then give it back to him. Like what they gave him, it just doesn't make any sense. Like He
But why is
essentially
he
got
hold up?
nerfed.
Why is he bad up close? I don't see that at all. I think he's extremely strong up close.
I don't think
Why?
he's
Like, what are you
bad.
talking about?
I don't think he's bad up close, but he's definitely not one of the best. Like he still has launching command grab with tremor, still has 1100 health, decent armor conversions, slow armor though, but and down four, but his footsies are pretty lacking though.
That what is it? The back three? That thing hits from fucking downtown. That thing is really good as a footsie tool. I don't
When
see
was
this
the last time
character
you saw
being a
anybody
struggle.
use this character? Cowboy, just be honest. When was the last time
But
you saw anybody use this character?
I
Like
run into
even,
him fairly often in Combat League. Like it's not that rare.
I think
That
you're
uh,
slightly better than I am, but I never see this character ever. I have probably more games than you do. I probably fought this character like maybe like 3 times. Like nobody uses this character.
my issue with back three too is it doesn't lead to anything safe. There's always a way to punish anything off of back three, whether it's raw back three. I think it's like -12. Back three four can be crouched under. Back three slide cancels obviously punishable. So like that's my biggest issue with back three is nothing is jailed into safety with it on block. And
Still a good footsie
it
tool
does
though.
have some decent whiff recovery too if it whiffs, and it can be like easily jumped over. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's definitely not ideal. Um, so I don't think he's worse than Quan. That's insane to me, but I do think he's a C tier character. That's just me. High C tier in my opinion, maybe low B.
I'd lean more towards B personally.
Okay.
And he does have a pretty good fatal blow. Like it's a true 50-50 on block
Yeah.
if you block his down one into upwards command grab or the tick throw. Um, then obviously having the 1100 health with Tremor because that's really the only cameo you're going to use with him, and armor combos with Tremor. So I still think he has some things going for him, just nowhere near as good as before.
Reptile. I have Reptile in B tier. I don't think there's anything wrong with him, and he got buffed a lot, and I like the buff to his overhead. I don't understand why that was ever unsafe anyway, but I think the problem with him is at the highest level, his best footsie tool has a gap, and most of the top tier they almost have no gaps. So if you buff that, he would probably jump up 1 or 2 tiers. What is that low? I forget. Back three, I
Yeah, back
suppose.
three. Hmm.
Yeah, that's a really good normal in footsies because it can like randomly hop over lows in certain
Right.
ranges. Yeah, so that's really strong. But obviously, again, if you fight the meta is, they will probably combo from their armor, which means you have to stagger. When you stagger, you lose your turn. It's like the same story over and over again. So, and the overhead is again, it's excellent. It's I believe one of the safest overhead in the game, at like -3, -4, depending on the range. So, um, has good synergy with Mavado and some of the other top tier cameos, but just like not quite there. Like he doesn't really have the space control as he used to have. He's just a solid pick, solid character. Again, nothing really wrong with him. And Darks, shout outs to him in those online tournaments. And I've run into him in Combat League. He does very well with him. So I think the character's good.
Yeah, I'd say he's really solid. I'd compare him maybe more to Raiden, where he's
Yes,
good,
yes.
a lot of tools, just isn't like oppressive. I don't see anything wrong with him at all, honestly. I think he's a good character. His armor does kind of suck. I guess there's that.
Yeah.
He definitely takes a little more risk than some of the top tiers because of the dash, and you can punish the EX one too. But a good character.
I like that. What is that? Standing three, whatever the fucking flip is. That I hate that move. That
Oh,
that
it's so
move is
annoying.
crazy.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
very.
that move just hits armor. Yeah, that's a good buff that they gave him. A lot, the fact that he's airborne, he can cancel it. So Um, I don't know what you would give him that wouldn't make us like pull our hair out, but you know,
I don't think he
maybe
needs anything.
yeah, maybe you can use one slight buff, maybe a little bit more damage on the armor, not necessarily launching. That could make him a little bit better, but yeah, he's just solid all around, kind of like Raiden. I think Cowboy hit the nail on the head with this one. Franco?
I think he's high B tier. I think one buff you could give him without breaking him is like 4-3-2 into uh, meter burn force ball special cancel ability because he can only special cancel into slide, I think acid spit, and fatal blow and summon cameos, and that's just by design. I'm not sure why. Oh, and invisibility he can cancel into, but if he could set up like a meter burn slow force ball on Oki after 4-3-2 on hit, I think that'd be kind of fun and interesting. And maybe make like meter burn acid spit do something other than just more pushback on hit. Um, now the move's kind of useless. I'm not a fan of useless moves. Um, yeah, he's solid character though, and I think he's B tier. And stand 3 whiff cancels are really nice too in neutral.
Yep, for sure. Next up, S for Scorpion, right up in the S tier for very obvious reasons that we don't have to discuss for for too long.
Yeah.
I mean, you already know. Like, I think with Farah it's obvious, but maybe Jack's a little bit less obvious, but it's still strong. Kind of gets to play the old Kano and the old grenades meta, but it's mostly with Ferrator back three into 50-50, which is probably one of the more braided things in the game, to be honest with you. But so again, it depends. Do you have good armor? Do or not? Would I want to play this character with something like Garrus? No, I would fucking quit the game and I would hate the game. I don't blame people for hating it, but I use Kung Lao and Sector and I tolerate it to some extent. I hate the EX teleport stuff. It annoys me. Random spear catches me in a neutral. Yeah, I mean, he's just a good character, and if you watch this game in any way, shape, or form, then you know that he's pretty much found everywhere. Most notably with MK Javier, who's one of the best players in Europe, if not the best. Am I missing anything, Cowboy?
I mean, yeah, this character, he just
I'm
has
not
too many
missing a
tools.
lot, but like just the basic, but just
Yeah.
the gist of it. Yeah, go ahead.
You got the main points. He just has too many tools. Like this is the type of thing, and I guess I'll harken back to Quan here, where it feels like there's a lot of characters in this game that just don't have any real weaknesses, even if they're not like S tier necessarily. Although Scorpion definitely is. And then you have characters like Quan who just have built-in shit that it just feels horrible. Like it's meant to balance, but like you can't do that when you're going to create characters that have no flaws, like him. I remember I was watching, Javier play. I don't remember who he was playing, but people in the chat were saying, "Oh, just armor, just armor," and it's like the dude Javier was fighting was armoring, but it just doesn't matter. Like it didn't scare him from just repeatedly doing back three. So yeah, there's just minimal to no counterplay against this character, in my opinion.
How bad is the Quan Chi matchup against Scorpion?
I don't hate it as much as you think. I actually think I would probably use Quan over Noob in that match, at least right now,
Really interesting.
because you can punish Spear pretty easily.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, that is a big deal. Yeah.
Armor Portal is okay against him. Like he has some ways around it, but it's enough to slow him down. So yeah, it's not the worst matchup in the game. Like I can handle it.
Franco, would you put Scorpion S tier?
Yes, I think Quan loses 3-7 in that matchup. Honestly,
Really?
too. Yeah, it's like if you have peak Quan knowledge, like I don't know how you beat Scorpion, but that's a different discussion.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think his game plan is just super simple and effective. You just back three mix, and you also get throw combos with Farah. And my issue too with him is you can't really turtle him because you're just allowing him to regain Farah. And
Yeah.
most of the time, if you're turtling him, you're in back three distance, which means he's probably going to force you into a 50-50 depending on your armor options as your character you're playing as. So I don't have much to say about him other than he's just very simple and effective. Probably one of the lamer characters to fight against, like boring. Uh, I wouldn't say he's Kenshi level of annoying to fight against, but pretty close. I'd imagine he's probably some people's number one least favorite to fight.
Yeah. Next up, one of my favorite girls in the game. I like to troll Franco and pronounce this name in a French accent. Sector.
Wow, that's different.
Yeah, good thing
I
Master
was
D isn't here to blow you up right now.
he would slap me right now, especially if he were drunk. But love the character. Um, maybe the best zoning character in the game. super fun to use. Um, I have her in A, probably mid A or like lower A, just like right off the bat. Would you guys agree with that? Or am I downplaying? I think that's
I
fair.
agree. A
Yeah.
tier.
Okay.
I think low A, yeah, for me.
Yeah. So fair enough. So I don't want to. I don't want to be known as a dump. But yeah, I love the way she plays. Love like the double jump. Love the projectile. The fact that it has like very low recovery frames. It's kind of like using a guile. You know, like using guile. Save armor. Back three to blow up armor. Very fun. I'm against buffing her. My problem is mostly like she has a lot of like consistency issues, and I can tell the people who tested her didn't do their jobs properly. Like max range back three into EX teleport like whiffs, and that gets you blown up. Why? I don't know. So if you guys test that, if you like a max range, you press back three, four, cancel. You know, after the first well, two hits into teleport, EX teleport rather, that whiffs, and it gets you blown up. Sometimes like if you do like the teleport, which is complete ass as an anti-zoning tool, if you actually by some miracle hit it, jumping 2-1-2 can whiff. Why? I don't know why that's a thing, considering she doesn't have anywhere near as good of a teleport as she should. So it's mostly like consistency issues that bother me with her. I don't think she should be buffed. I don't want a faster overhead. If I never said it, I was just salty. I don't want that stuff. I think that would make her brain dead and would make her boring to use. And obviously, shout outs to Foxy, who just well, I think he plays fifth or so with her
Yeah.
with her at
Mhm.
Venality. I would just like to see some like consistency issues being fixed. Maybe just slightly better teleport. I don't want better offense because that's the game, and I think that's boring. But yeah, she's fun. I love the design. I think they overall did a very good job with her. Um, Arguably, maybe top three best ever NR zoning character, if I may say. That's how much props I'm ready to give them. But I take some props away because of these consistency issues that they're just not fun to deal with. Um, but yeah, she's fun. I think she's strong. Um, she fits well with multiple cameos. Maybe Sonya is probably the best one, but she's good with Sector. She's good with Takeda. She's good with Motaro. Um, yeah, I don't have too many complaints aside from please fix that stuff and maybe give a slightly better teleport. Now, I think I will be very, very happy. You guys play me a lot.
Mm.
Again, where am I wrong? Am I right? What do you stand, Cowboy?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, she has some really good tools. Her low is great. The fact that it's a multi-hitting is really, really good. Really good auto shimmy because of that. Great, I'd say great jab strings. They're good for staggering.
Yes, yes.
Um, yeah, mobility really, really strong. Like she really enforces guesses from most parts of the screen because she can kind of double float. She can do projectile. She can teleport. Although I know it's not that great. She can jump in. Yeah, it's a really strong character. And yeah, I thought Foxy's performance was great. That's what he was. I was definitely rooting for him.
Franco, what say you?
I agree. I have her like at low A tier still, probably. I think the back three fixes obviously should have been done a long time ago. I don't know how it hasn't been fixed yet. Raiden has a similar issue with 443 hitting at farther
Oh yeah.
ranges, and
Me
Yeah.
too.
where like
Yeah.
that shocker won't like connect at certain ranges, like stuff like that should be like fixed immediately. I think another inconsistency I don't like dealing with when playing against her, like it's not the zoning that annoys me, it's the inconsistency and the mid aerial projectile sometimes explodes mid air, sometimes it doesn't and
My
explodes to the
God,
ground.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Like that's another thing. Like,
I
Yeah. What's
and
with that?
listening to this, please fix this type of garbage. Like, so the mid area projectile, like I had like not so much with Geras and Quan Chi because I guess they have better hitboxes. Like people just randomly like jump like literally through it. Like I don't know why, but that shouldn't be a thing. Like again, I guessed right. I knew you're gonna jump. I made the right decision with the right projectile. Why am I being punished for guessing right? And that's my frustration with this character. Whether it's guessing right on you whiffing down one and I do back three and I do my EX teleport and it whiffs and I get punished into a vortex. That stuff is not fun. It's frustrating. That drives me away from this game, even though I want to like it. So please fix that type of stuff. I don't think I'm asking for anything unreasonable aside from just like basic functionality. And again, thank you for mentioning that, but that stuff is super annoying because it does seem like the explosion like has a highly inconsistent hitbox on it.
The I think the sector player should be able to choose whether to explode it on the ground or not. And I think like if you hold the one input, it will explode on the ground and sink. Or if you just don't hold anything, it'll just do the traditional explode in the air. I think that would be cool to give the sector player like some more freedom and just
I think that's what the should be with the
not.
tele. If you let the four rip, it should hit in the air, and if you hold it, it should on the ground. But I know people who dislike zoning, they're gonna hate that. But I think that's the way. I think the character is also not easy to use, which is why you almost never see her. It's mostly people who understand like zoning. People understand, like have good reactions. I'm not saying I'm one of them anymore, but like I would I would gain a lot more respect for this game if they fix this inconsistent stuff. But not just with her, but like the example with Raiden. That's another like it's just fraudulent. You hit your what is it 4-2-4,
Board 4
and
3.
then your shocker. Yeah, I'm sorry, and
Yeah.
then your shocker whiffs. Why? That's garbage. That shouldn't be in the game.
It does suck, but you can, and it's annoying, but you can kind of play around it with Raiden. Like
I
you have
know,
to
but it
confirm
shouldn't
into
be like. Why is the
info.
mind game on you for already using a mid tier character? Like,
Right.
why doesn't Havoc has? Why doesn't he have to deal with those issues? Like,
Right.
it's kind of fraudulent. I don't like it. But yeah, she's good. She's strong. She's well designed. Props to designers. Please test her a little bit better. That's my only complaint. But yeah, I love using her. She's arguably my favorite character to use in this game, and thank you for including her. If NRS is listening, but let's move on and talk about Shang Tsung. Uh, well, that smile, that laugh. I don't know. Go ahead.
He's garbage. He's one of the worst characters in the game. Like it should tell you something that you know how much I love Shang Tsung. Like I've
Oh
been
yeah,
playing
yeah.
him
The fact that
for
you
over a
don't use
decade,
that's a blow up.
and
Yeah,
I don't even bother picking him in this game. There's just no point. He adds absolutely nothing to it. Like his footsies or whatever. I think he's like the only character in the game, in my opinion, that essentially just gets completely shut down by a cameo. Like Sub Zero.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like he
yeah.
can't play footsies without his projectiles. He's left with down three and sweep basically. Yeah, he. I mean, I know there's the morph stuff out there. Where you can do resets and shit. Like that isn't bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, but that's nowhere near the level of sauce that other characters have.
I think
Um,
my problem with him is, if I may interrupt just real quick, is
yeah.
like you have like Wraith. I think he's a British player, if I'm not mistaken. He's
No,
from
no,
Europe.
he's from New Jersey.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. He
Yeah.
does very well, but obviously you can tell he is an exceptional player. I mean, come on. He obviously works overtime just to beat these people with this character. And and this is my problem with to an extent to like some other games as well, especially Tekken. Like, why would I put this amount of work in when I can just use a better character and put less work in? Do you see what I'm saying?
No,
Uh,
totally, totally.
yeah, do you agree?
He adds nothing. He's a basic bitch footsie character that can't even really do that very well. And then yeah, the setups are again good, but it's like a lot of work. It's actually they're kind of hard to do some of them, and it's just yeah, there's no point in doing that much. Also say kind of bonus points for being really annoying. They gave him changes that to me just did absolutely nothing. Like that new cameo move that he has, almost never used. I watch Wraith play a lot, and I very rarely ever see him use the stolen cameo move. Most of them are just trash or too situational.
One of the worst ones is the Motaro.
Oh my god,
Oh,
dude! What is the
what
point
is
of that?
that? Dude? Why is that in the game? What were they thinking? Oh my god. Are there any other? I mean, maybe you guys would know. Are there any other
The
ones that are worse?
only good cameo steal that comes to mind is Farah. Could take
Oh
her
yeah,
off
yeah, yeah.
That is pretty
anything,
good. I
but
agree.
it's only really good if you have Movado. You could launch off of it. But if you're like Wraith, you're probably always using Goro. Maybe you could launch off of that ferret throw with Goro, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, that the ferret throw is really the only move I think that he steals that's actually good.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive that like they couldn't give him a single good one other than that.
Also, that morph move I feel like wasn't tested fully because I get way too many input errors with that move now because I try to go into forward four from crouch block, and keep in
Mhm,
mind I play on short input window timing.
mhm.
Garrus also has a forward four that I use from crouch block, and my Sandstorm, which is a down forward four input, just like Shang's morph move, is I don't get that input error with Garrus. I only get it with Shang, and it pisses me off. Like I literally can't use the character.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
he has. Mhm.
oh, I'm sorry. You go. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, that's another thing is that he's actually a pretty hard character to play, like in
Oh,
terms of
hell yeah, he
execution,
is. I think he's one of the hardest in the game.
for
Easy.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like for what? For shit that's just less effective than like what Homelander does with a couple of buttons. Like, no thanks.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think like the up skull combo inconsistency is super annoying. Like,
Oh,
is it going to hit away or is it going to hit the opponent
yeah, you can
closest to
never
you?
tell.
Like,
Just
Yeah,
can't
shout out to
tell.
Flame to win our good friend. Like, he literally like, I can't deal with this. He's like, he quit the character almost immediately after the game. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna pick Liu Kang and do 50-50s up close. Like, yeah, brother, we
Yeah,
got yeah. Oh, this is a character like who almost like needs like fixes and a slight redesign. I don't know. I think if you give him too scrubby cameo moves, that could be an issue. But I think he just needs a better toolkit overall. And yes, I do believe he's worse than Quan Chi. So both of you can go fuck yourself.
no,
here we go.
no,
Yeah,
I
this character's
no,
worse.
I don't want to hear
This
that.
character's worse. Get the fuck out of
His
here.
armor is better. He has a
Yeah.
five
Okay,
hitting
that's
mid
let's
string,
talk about that.
better
Let's talk about.
down three, better mids,
I will
gapless mid
say
options. Like I could go on.
I've definitely been a hater, but Shang's armor move is one of the better ones, I think. Especially since, you can make it launch with like Mavado or Goro. That's a solid point. His armor is good. I'll give him
Can
Yes,
that.
we
he has a
agree that?
thousand health, better pokes.
Hold on,
Right.
folks. Can we agree that? Can we buff Goro? Like
I
not
agree.
like that
Mm,
alone would be a major buff to Shang Tsung. I wouldn't like make his cooldown really low because I think that's a balanced disaster. But like, I, I would have to test it myself. I don't know what the cooldown is. Probably like what it has to be at least 20 seconds or something,
I
right?
think it's like 18 or
Yeah,
something.
something
long.
like that.
Yeah.
And essentially, for many characters, um, Mavado essentially made Goro useless because why would I use Goro with Kung Lao when I could just pick Mavado and more or less do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, it could even be better than pre-patch. So I think that's a cameo we kind of buff just to help the character. I don't know why this hasn't been done already. I think this is super obvious. Not for like 6, 7, 8 seconds, but maybe like 2 or 3. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a
I
couple.
think Goro's punch walk is literally useless and his back toss is useless. Like you literally only see up punch used with him and telestomp if you see Wraith playing. Like that's I don't know.
Well, he does for the resets, he does do punch walk, I think.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
Oh, does he? Oh, I thought he's mainly using telestomp.
Or you can, I'm getting backwards. You can do actually huge damage with off the punch walk,
Hmm.
but it has to be after you get a hit, though.
The summon version of punch walk is useless though.
Okay.
It's like 28 million frame startup. I think
Right.
it's plus on block, but you can immediately poke after and put Goro on cooldown because he doesn't leave the screen in time. Like he's yeah outside up punch and maybe ambush punch walk. He's pretty useless,
Right,
or
right.
he's not like rewarding enough to use in my opinion. I should
Yeah, let's
say.
save the cameo. We'll do like real super quick after we're done with the cameo, like who needs buffs. But um, so Shao Kahn, we have already talked about. Sindel. I mean, this one thing I will say about Sindel is I underestimate how bullshit back two is
Yeah.
and the float in general. Like,
Oh, yeah.
is that move annoying anybody else, or is it just me?
No, it's
That float,
annoying.
yeah, you just can't play pussies. It's like on top of having the forward one, which is, in my opinion, like the best button in the game, or at least one of them.
Is it? Hold on, just real quick, because you understand footage better than anybody, at least in here. Is back one? I'm sorry. Is it forward one? Whatever the thing is. Is it
Mhm.
better than Holander's bullshit, or is it on the same terms?
About the same. I mean,
Fair enough.
Homelanders has more range, I'd say, like about a little bit, but it just does too much work. Like it breaks armor. It creates auto fuzzy, probably the best auto shimmy in the game. Um, it can be spaced out to where you can't really poke back. It has a mind game with that extension.
Hmm.
You can cancel it into specials. Like it does too much. It should not do. No move should do that much for a character, in my opinion.
How do you deal with like if she does back to like what? So you have to poke her to punish her, but if you try to punish her, she can cancel the EX float. Is that like the meta?
She
Well,
she
she
kind of
does.
forces you to up block pretty much,
Yeah.
or armor.
Basically, the guess is, yeah, you can armor. You can, some characters at least can anti-air if she delays the attack too much. But yeah, basically you want up block or anti-air or armor.
Dude, with Kung Lao, it fucking misses half the time. Like it's just like Lula sometimes go under. Like what is
And then
that?
you can't armor if she does the projectile EX. That's just guaranteed.
Yeah. Um, I think yeah, if she does immediate meterless back to meterless flow into immediate jump punch, you can't anti-air it with a jab. I think you have to armor up block that, and then
Mhm.
obviously back to air projectile float all jails.
Yeah,
Look,
she
let me
is
just
very
say this,
impressive.
and this is maybe the salt of me speaking. I mean, just fuck you to NRS for like making us deal with this bullshit. Like, so she picks Tremor, and then it's just like we just dealing like with unblockables. Like, so the best players in the world, at least in Europe, they try to deal with this stuff. They get hit at least half the time, probably more. Like, and then we can't have good zoning. Like, this is like what's driving me crazy, man, about this character. And they like good players, not like players who would probably have like average to below average defense like me. Like they're getting bodied by this shit. Like they're dying like of two touches. Am
Yeah,
I exaggerating? Like, and even online when you play them, like they play Kung Lao, which they hit you, and it's like you get hit. You can't block that stuff consistently. It's so annoying, man. I don't mind it, but please give us better defensive options when we're expected to deal with this bullshit that feels like playing like pre-patch Quan Chi to a small extent.
Her jump kicks is one of the most annoying to
Oh
deal
yeah.
with too. Like it hits like on both sides, below her. It could be float canceled. It could be easily converted into 4-1 scream. Um, Her sweep's pretty good. Her down three is one of the best in the game. It's a disjointed hair normal that reaches pretty far. Her forward four I don't think is used enough as an auto shimmy. It hits mid, and I feel like if you're on point offline, you can hit
Yeah, you
confirm
can
forward
probably
four
yeah, you can have confirmed probably. I'm with you.
because it's a double hitting normal, and it leads to her forward three or forward three, which is the meterless launcher that she jumps front flips onto the ground. I think people should use that more as an auto shimmy mid attempt a little bit, but thankfully she does have a bit of a weaker armor move compared to the roster, and doesn't have throw combos as far as I know. Um, but yeah, she is like hard to block mix city and has like the cameo cooldown shorten special move and anti breaker. So like if she does the meter burn, the fuck's that move? The meter burn version of the move where she smacks your assist with the finger point.
Oh yeah,
She'll
yeah.
like she like destroys breakers. Like if you try to break against her with that, which that move's purple aura looks way too similar to the cameo cooldown shorten move. I think they should separate those aura colors or make it more distinguishable. Because sometimes players like Scars Unseen will do both of those moves after net on hit and then do the combo because it's that much hit advantage. But like you can't tell which one's done on cooldown. As far as I can't tell, like they're both purple. But yeah, she's pretty much got everything, and she has some of the best zoning too, especially with instant air hairball and meter burn down back one. The that can poke punish or that can punish pokes in the corner and launch, kind of like Lee May's up kick.
But legitimate question to Cowboy.
Mm.
Are the Sundar players on Twitter right that she's overrated and
Oh
she may need
yeah.
buffs?
We were gonna actually get into this. There's like a couple characters who have like some of the most obscene downplaying I've ever seen, and she's one of them. Like, great. How can you not
Yeah,
say that she's one of the best in the game, man? Like literally, you block and are forced to gas, and
Yeah,
that's on
she's
top
just
of
downplayed.
everything else she has. Like it's nuts.
I don't
Funny thing
know.
is, they can't really say shit now because she's won literally 2 majors in a row.
And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's Sonic doing it, nobody
Oh no, but
else."
this one
But
wasn't. This wasn't Sonic winning. So again, they have to hold that because it's not just Sonic.
yeah, a lot of the time people will jump to that excuse up until
The
recently.
only I know maybe Cowboy. I think Cowboy may disagree, but I think Franco will agree. She's not scrubby. Like if you look, yeah, she's annoying and I hate her, but to do some of the conversions and to like differentiate your vortex just enough where you leave that gap where in which the the unblockable whatever the protection doesn't come in. That's how you use her, and not everybody can do that. And I think there's a reason that not too many players are using her or placing well with her, and more people like more high level players are using like Havoc, for example. I don't think she's scrubby. Forward one is kind of scrubby, and I wish it did less things. And that,
That's extremely scrubby. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But I think she's not like I'm just gonna hit you and beat you. Like you actually need to know the game. You need to know your setups. You need to know the conversion. You need to be able to hit confirm. So she's not like a scrub character. Because again, there's like instant area fireballs. Again, it's like the package, right? I don't think she's that scrubby, and I think that's the reason why probably she hasn't been nerfed yet. Uh, and
She is.
I don't think she should be. But I know that's a controversial talking point. I think maybe something with Tremor should happen because that didn't really look good, all that good. But I don't know.
Nah, I think leave Tremor alone. Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Oh,
He,
dude, I'm all about Tremor. You guys know.
he's only doing ground pound. That's literally all he's doing. I don't think that's a Tremor
I mean,
issue. I think that's just a
100,
Sindel thing.
100 health is pretty good.
It is, but outside Sindel, like nobody and Reiko, like
Also, that's not true either. He has that armored move that you really can't do shit about either.
what armored move?
It's
Yeah,
the MKX style one, the
yeah.
crystalline.
Dude, that shit
Think
Like
sucks.
that's no, I don't think so.
That
They
shit
use it pretty
sucks.
well. There's nothing
Yeah,
that you can do
that's
about
the
it other
fact
than block.
when she can like reduce the cooldown by like 50% and just call it over and over again. Come on, man.
Right.
You
It's like
can
having a
you
mini armor
can
portal.
you can still do combos in somebody that's in crystalline, like, and they can't block. I can't name an example at the moment, but
I
they're
understand. Look, that's a Tremor thing. We all agree, just to move on. Sindel is stupid. Even if you're not using Tremor, I think she's still like easy top six, top seven with Sector, with Kung Lao. You don't need Tremor. That character is just like super top tier. There is execution, and I will give props to those players, but the Tremor discussion, I think, is a separate one. But we all agree she's like easy S tier, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
One or two.
Yeah. Let's move on to a character I hate. Smoke, Smoke, Smoke
Yeah.
is a piece of shit character to this day. I don't like fighting him. He gets in too easily online. He's annoying as hell because of the overhead can be hard to block, and of course all the smoke players, they're all wireless warriors. Um, I don't like him. He does a lot of damage. He is where he should be. I put him in. I don't know where I have him. Maybe A tier. Doesn't matter. Maybe like A, top of B at the worst. I think he's better than Ashra. He's better than Baraka. He's probably better than Giras. He's definitely better than Quan Chi. Better than Raiden. I don't know. Am I playing? I don't know.
I mean, by spoke player standards, you're up playing. They all have them like
They
B or
think
C.
they think back. Whatever that. They think back to should be like 18 frames. The cats should all be plus. They want to play like MKX, right? Is that what they want?
I mean, the character is A tier. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Like, it's honestly, he's probably one of the biggest like skip neutral characters in the entire game. Especially if he has like Sector. I mean, just he's gonna go invisible. He's gonna put up the missile, and there isn't shit you can do about it. He's just gonna get a free mix up. And that's not even talking about like his strings and his cancels. Like yeah, they're all negative, but like you combine that with the staggers, different stopping points, going into the EX teleport instead of the forward teleport. There's no way that you're defending against all that. So he's another character where like you just lose by blocking essentially. I really, yeah, Smoke is Really dumb character, I
Hold on
think.
a second. How does Quan Chi do against him?
3-7.
3-7.
Easy.
Yeah,
Horrible
three
matchup.
seven.
Yeah.
I use Raiden for that match now. It's definitely more doable.
I feel like Quan's like the only character with unwinnable matchups.
Yeah, I agree.
Look,
100%.
we disagree about Quan, but I'll give you that. That must be like, dude, I think it could even be worse than 7-3, but I trust you guys. I'm serious. I won't want to fight. Dude, cancels like like what, like -4 or something, right?
Yeah, they're all minus, but there's just so many of them that he can do that, like,
Yeah.
good luck knowing which when he's stopping.
Yeah, and on Quan, they're probably legit on Quan because it was down one being 10 frames or 9 frames. And
And
Yeah.
EX canceled, shaved some frames off, so some actually might become plus.
And even
yeah.
though
Uh,
back is super slow, like in the neutral, like it can randomly jump over your lows, right? So
Oh yeah.
that's
hmm
yeah, it's pretty
so
nice, low crush.
yeah. I mean, I know it's reactable, but it's just yeah, I just hate this character, man. I've hated him since like MK9, and you guys know all my rants back in the day. To the extent I even got banned for some tournaments, whatever. Not banned. They wouldn't let me commentate after fucking went crazy on this character. So I'm not gonna go crazy on this because I'm too old for that. But I hate him. I don't like this character. He's annoying. He got buffed as well, which I'm all about buffs. God bless him. He got his buffs. Now buff our characters, NRS.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I honestly have him in high B tier. I don't have him in A tier on my list, but if we're doing majority rule, we'll put him low A tier.
Yeah. I think he's A tier.
yeah, I'm okay with either one.
All right.
Top
Well, actually,
zero.
wait. You get the last word on it then. If you're fine with either, do you want B or A tier, Dave?
Well, we don't want to make it too crowded. Put him top of B. I think
Okay.
he's better than any of the B tier characters. Easy.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, and
um,
I do play a little bit of smoke too, and so I understand the struggles a little bit, but yeah, I think he's high B tier.
let's talk about Sub Zero, one of the poster boys of
Oh, another thing.
Yeah.
Mortal.
We're on a
Just
streak now.
just a disclaimer now. This is an offline tier list, so like these online shenanigans that might be exploitable online, we're not going to factor that too much in this list. Offline talk.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
That's all.
Sub Zero, the character of Sikander, the character of Lord Brady. Um, does he need more buffs, Cowboy? You're in
Um,
the spotlight.
absolutely not.
Ooh.
This character is really strong. Maybe this is a hot take. What's his problem? He has really great footsies. He kind of lame out in turtle. His dive kick really fucks over any
He's
attempt
a
at
matchup
zoning.
character. Do you agree? He's a matchup based character.
Well, I'm not finished. Dive kick, which again, I don't know why it's like this, but for some reason in MK1, that you have fucking dive kicks that can be safe sometimes. So that's another thing. And I mean, especially, I think he's at his best when he's paired with Chameleon. I think that shit is fucking insane. Like he has mix-ups, strong mobility, anti-zoning. Like I just don't see the problem with this character. Like I don't get why he's considered to be bad. Doesn't make any sense to me.
I think a lot of people are like referring to the beta and they want some of the old stuff back, but this is what Tom Brady like. I don't think he understands that you cannot have a faster ice ball because essentially you will be throwing out um launchers from full screen away like Cyrax, except even possibly safer, and then threaten your full screen slide, right? Now, in a game that doesn't have a cameo system, that would be okay, right? Because
Mhm.
you wouldn't be able to combo from those, at least not from the slide, right? But like with cameos, with like Sonya or Chameleon, like you slide combos, and if you want even a lower hurt box on that, like you would be botting people. And I think he's in a kind of similar situation that Quan Chi is. Like if you give him better stuff, I don't know how you would balance it. He would essentially destroy like half the cast easy if you give him some of the stuff that they want, like a faster ice ball or like like let's say a slide that like has instant high whatever.
Low
In
profile ability.
yeah, thank you. You can give him more buffs, but not in those aspects. Um, Maybe you can make some of his strength slightly safer. Um, Give maybe slightly more damage, even though that could be dangerous as well. But you cannot give him like a faster ice ball or a faster slide or whatever the hell they're asking for. I think that would be too dangerous. I think he's a matchup based character. Like that's a character I would. I think even online Kale said I don't want to use Kung Lao on him because dude, guys, that matchup is rough. And that's why I believe Sector is a little bit underrated because that's a matchup I will 100% use her on him instead of Kung Lao. Um, but yeah, he's just difficult to buff, but could use some minor buffs in the long run, which I don't think they will do. But um, Franco, you finish up on this character. I have him in B. What say you?
I'll put him in low B. I think instant air dive kick is bullshit. It's safe at the lowest height.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes like it just randomly goes on the other side of the opponent and it creates a lot of space and it's hard to whiff punish. Another inconsistency I think should be looked at. Cyrax really helps him out now too. He gets throw combos and slide combos. I think his one of his weaknesses is having a lot of gaps and his strings are all minus. The only plus string he has, I think, is 4/4, but I think it has a gap. I think it's +3. Um, I think the only thing he should get, or one of like, I think the biggest thing he should get is the triple clone should break armor, so you can enforce like, oh, am I going to do single clone, which has a lot of recovery frames, and are you going to armor punish me? Or am I going to do the triple clone to break your armor attempt of punishing my single clone? I think that's a fair mind game to have for him. That would be like something I could think of to help him a little bit. But I think if you buff him enough, definitely should make his dive kick 100% punishable on block all the time. Like on regular block too, not just up block.
Yeah. So
Yeah, 100%.
would you put him in B, guys?
I think he's an A tier character. I mean, I know that people disagree with that, but I just don't see. Yeah, he has some gaps, but he has a great poke. He's super strong footsies and mix-ups. I don't see the
I
problem.
don't think, with all the I don't think he's in the same tier as like Liu Kang and Melina, though. I think that's a bit of upplaying.
I think he's just a little below them, like not by much.
Again, I would put him in B tier. I don't know where exactly, but um, and it is a balanced game, so I don't think any of these characters are trash. They're essentially like one or two buffs away from like they could be S, right? So, but I would put him in B. Speaking of a character who like kind of uh got better, not necessarily by buffs, but just like by people labbing, people doing a lot better in tournaments, is Takeda. I used to think he was like C tier, but uh watching people use this character, I think I have him like closer to A. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, again, a character that has everything. Good mobility, really oppressive set play. And in my opinion, some other than like Ghostface or the true Vortex characters, like he has like the best set play. Really, this brain dead footsies with that. I mean, basically the same shit he's had in MKX. That really long normal. Um, yeah, he has everything. High A.
Oh, that's not for, what are the 1-2 string? What the fuck that is?
Oh yeah, auto shimmy is super good. He has the
What
the
he
second.
doesn't have is a good armor, right? He pretty much has everything
Yeah, his
else.
armor is weak. That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, 1-2 is super good. Like um it's really strong. And also like the instant area kunai as a projectile is very underrated.
Hmm.
Yeah, like back to the neutral can literally punish everything. So if you're good at footsies, it's almost like like a poison. Um Poison being like Street Fighter 4 reference.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's a character I was 100% wrong about. I think he's a lot better than I thought, for sure. And he's got some recent results as well. So um, I have him in A. Not sure where you guys would put him, but definitely A. Not sure about the specific order though. Franco, what say you?
I think either high B or low A. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't test this, so I'm sorry if I'm an asshole and I'm wrong on this, but I believe back three has slightly extra like cancel ability window, like almost like Fusion Forward 3 and MK11 did. I want to say you have a bigger window of special canceling off of it, so like if that is true, having a single hitting normal that's confirmable is pretty nice. Um, yeah, he pretty much has everything except a good armor move. So yeah, I'd say high B tier, low A tier.
I think he's an A tier character.
I have him an A tier on my personal tier list as well. I think the players who have put in the work, they kind of deserve, they deserve to have the character up there. And we've seen the recent results. He is used. There's no question about that. So I would personally put him in A tier. Finally, we have, in my humble opinion, the worst guy in the game that you guys never see. She needs Tanya. I haven't C tier. She's not terrible because again, it's a cameo game, and any character can be good with the right cameo to some extent. But NRS, if you're listening, charged. I believe it's called Seeking Guidance or something like that. Charge Seeking Guidance. Safe armor. Doesn't launch. Plus 60 on hit. Make it happen. Make this game more defensive. This is the character to do it because she actually is. She can be balanced properly, but not in a way that's oppressive. Because right now, you guys got rid of her armor. You removed, not removed, rather. I'm sorry, but you slowed down her mid for no reason. Um, make defense better. Make this character good again. She's a likable character. She has great appearance. A lot of people like her. Um, give her more perks from the Seeking Guidance from the charge, and I think she would be at least mid tier. Easily, easily. You guys dropped the ball with her. Franco, what say you?
I think her damage should be looked at too. Like maybe give her a damage buff with
Well, like
the seeking guidance. Her and Quan are like the lowest hitting damaging
give her like
characters.
a based armor character. And I know Kyle was probably rolling his eyes. I don't give a damn. Like, uh, this
Yeah,
character
you're right. I am.
because you hate defense unless it benefits you. So,
No,
uh,
because I don't like brain dead armor moves. Like that was that honestly like the Tanya armor meta was like the least fun I've had with this game. It was absolutely
but
oppressive,
I'm not for
horribly
that.
boring.
I'm telling you, I don't think it should launch. That's fair. Like it should be safe, but it shouldn't launch. So it should be like Kung Lao. Like -2, -1, whatever, but it shouldn't launch. But it should be safe, obviously. So that separates her from another character who does other stuff and allows players to express their individuality, their gameplay styles. And that's what she should be. Um, I don't think he should. I don't think her damage should be buffed at all because that should be her weakness. However, charging the seeking guidance, that should also improve your fireball, and she just doesn't get enough. She doesn't get enough perks. So like when she charges, what does she really get? She gets almost nothing. So what's the point of the character? Like what's the point of the move? She doesn't get nothing. She's essentially like a Geras who doesn't get any advantages from charging her stuff. So again, what is the point of the character? I think she's the worst, and I think results prove that. Character usage proves that, and I think she needs help.
I think you're. I mean, I don't think she's a great character by any means, but I think you're slightly underrating her. I think she still has strong footsies, decent enough projectile, can still like do pretty good with armor, even though it's not what it was. Like, I just don't think that she's that bad. Also, fuck Tanya. I hope she stays garbage. I don't like that character.
Okay. Finally, Cowboy, at least you're speaking your mind right now. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
should tell the truth from the bottom of your heart.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Character is scrubby as fuck. I'm glad she's dead.
Well, there you have it, folks.
Yep.
Real quick, because I think we've been going at it for like almost 2 hours or more. Which cameos would you are low tier, and which ones would you buff? I'm gonna give you some names and you tell me yay for buffs or nay for no. Striker.
Hmm.
Mm, yay.
It's tough.
Slight
I
yay.
guess
A
I
very
guess
slight
yay.
yay.
Actually,
A very
not
slight
grenade.
yay.
Bring up the old grenades meta, but I think they need to do something with him, don't they?
Yes.
Maybe make like his mix a little better. I could see that. But
Make his high grenades more useful. His low grenades are far superior in every way.
Cops. Cops need to do something more than what they do.
I'm basically
It's
for changing anything that's not the grenades. Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm
yeah.
saying. So I think Cops need a buff. Maybe give him another move. I don't know what you would give him, but I'm not like, oh my god, grenades now. 10 seconds. No, no, we don't want to go there. It's been that. We know what it leads to. We're good, right? But
Mhm.
maybe give him better cuffs, some kind of reset. Maybe those combos as well, depending on how many hits you have. Maybe give him another move as well.
Maybe make
Oh,
one of his baton attacks like a reversal invincibility like move, kind of like pre-patch, like or not pre. I shouldn't say pre-patch, but like some summon moves are like reversal leg grab as a knockdown with slight invincibility frames, like something like that. Maybe too. I don't know.
yeah. Next one, Frost.
Yay, super yay.
What's bad about Frost?
No ambush.
I still think she's okay. I mean maybe this is a hot take. I think she's okay. Maybe not again. She's definitely not like Movado or that level. But I don't think she's like inherently problematic. I think she has. I mean that full screen move is super good. The low. A lot of characters
Yeah.
get good value off of the bomb, the floating thing. Some characters get good value off of the corner thing, or the thing that creates a corner
Yeah, the
barrier.
wall, the ice
I
wall.
think she's pretty good. I mean, she's just not oppressive.
Guys, can we agree? We can all agree with the one thing NRS will never add is an ice wall, but in front of the opponent.
Right. Definitely not.
We know those fools will never add that, that's for sure. But even though I think it could be balanced, like if it costs a whole bar and has a decent amount of cooldown, I think it would be okay. Okay, I'm sorry, Havoc players. Now you have to actually earn your way in to do your 45% combos. Or Homelander, you Homelander plus you have great footsies, and maybe you do. But guess what? Now you actually have to get in on somebody to do that stuff. And guess what? Young players, that's the way fighting games used to be before NRS literally handed you anti-zoning like as candy. That's the way these games used to work. That's the way I would look. I think they should do it. Obviously, I don't think it should be broken. Like, give it a decent amount of cooldown. Like, make people actually get in. Like, make them actually get in instead of just spamming buttons in the neutral and doing vortexes. Like, and I think the game, that's what I'm afraid about the game is that's what the game is going to come down to in the long term. We saw what's the stuff that just happened with Sidel. Do we want more of that? And I say no. And as Franco says, I don't want nerfs for anybody. Give us buffs. Buff the opposite aspects and let it roll. And I think they're inconceivably afraid of the consequences. Because they don't want people to play defense. They don't want people to zone. But I'll name you a couple of other characters and I'll shut up. Cameos rather. Darius.
Useless. Yay, super buff him.
I don't think he's useless, but yeah, I probably could use a slight buff.
They need to change the input on his ambush like move to the down assist. I think it is. Uh, he like stand behind you and you have to hold down to do the low kick, and to do the overhead you just hold nothing. But it's a really awkward input because sometimes you'll want to do a certain scenario, but because you're pressing down, you get an accidental low kick, which is super annoying. So I think they should separate those inputs to make it more consistent and get what you actually want. And I think his cooldown just should be faster. Like twister kicks, I think shouldn't be punishable on flawless block, and ballerina kick should probably have slightly lower cooldown. Maybe be like half a bar of cameo, maybe.
Yeah, he's a tricky one to balance because he's got like good knockdown gameplay, right? Like he's got good Oki. Um, you probably don't want to give him too much in the neutral. Or maybe Franco is right about the spinning thing. Like he's just not used. Like I'm just looking to like buff cameos that are not used. And speaking of not used, I think Goro. We kind of talked about Goro earlier.
Yeah, it's type buff.
Yeah, he needs
Yeah,
something maybe less cooldown on the up punch, or maybe even a new move. Maybe you need to do something with the whatever that low command grab. That's like what 30 frames. So I don't know. I think the point is, I like the game. I want to like it even more. Um, and I hope it's not the end of this game. Can we at least agree on that?
yeah.
Is
I really hope
yeah.
Oh yeah,
it keeps
yeah.
going too.
I think
Like,
we want to like the game. We're fans, obviously. We're passionate, so we will criticize it when necessary. We will like it when it's necessary. But I do enjoy the game. I played a lot. I just hope that the T1000 and that Madden Bow are not the end all and be all of this game's lifespan.
T1000 is broken. I hope the game's never patched again.
I really hope like they don't finish the game with a guest character that, like in my opinion, I know I'm only 23 years old, but not a real fan of T1000 as a guest character.
Yeah, that's a skill issue. Sorry.
Yeah,
But
balls.
yeah, I think that I really do hope there's more in store for the game than just Madden Bow and T1000 though. Like, cause I
Yeah.
enjoy using Garrus. I haven't had so much fun like solo maining a character probably since like God maybe MKX. I probably like MKX Ferritor. Um, yeah, Garrus in this game is super fun, and I really would hate to see the game be finished pretty soon. And they have such a good spot, like where the game's at as far as balance. Like, this is probably
Yes.
the most balanced roster in any NRS game. Like, there's obviously issues with some characters that definitely need help, but there's not like all these 8-2, 7-3 matchups, unless you're
That's,
Quan.
I was gonna say unless you're Quan. Yeah.
Like, yeah, for the majority of roster doesn't have like those super lopsided matchups. Like, there's not too many Lex Luthor matchup charts in this game.
For sure, for sure. And we would like to see more support. If I may, I want to talk about maybe like 10 more minutes about something else.
Okay.
I want to ask Cowboy, some of my favorite things to watch of yours in the past was you against Ducky in Injustice 1. And
Yeah.
I don't give a damn, if it's like a 3, 4, 5 a.m. stream. Oh my God, I enjoyed your matches with Sinestro against this Raven. Just
Really?
comment
I never knew
on
that.
that. Yeah, hell yeah. Comment on that and comment on your perspective, like on that game and maybe how that might have switched to now. I'm just trying to pick your mind and see what you think.
I'm confused what you're asking. Like how things have changed, or
Yeah,
what do
like
you
in
mean?
general, like comment on those matches and like how maybe you see games different now in contrast to how you used to like see games with like using Sinestro or Shang Tsung back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Honestly, in a sense, I've kind of had to relearn fighting games, like starting in MK11,
Yes, yes, yes.
because like the way that I play just isn't effective anymore, or at least the way I used to play, and be successful. Zoning is always very weak. Having said that, it's like it's kind of a weird situation. I also don't think I posted this on Twitter the other day, but I'm not like a pure zoner. I mean, Dave, I think you know that's true.
Oh hell yeah.
The
I
closest
don't
I've gotten
think
to
we
that
know
was
any of us anymore, dude, if you know what I'm talking about.
well, but I mean, even in the games that are successful, like I mean, yeah, I zone with Sinestro a bit, especially depending on the matchup, but he was good because of the vortex and because of the offense and the
Yeah.
trait. Shang Tsung, I mean, pure footsie character in MK9. Like I didn't really do much zoning. He was, soul steal into pressure. So yeah, I mean, perspective, I guess just there's, a lot that I didn't know and I wasn't forced to learn. But yeah, it's been challenging because the games now are just so much different than they used to be. Very, very different. In terms of, the design and like, the meta, it's not the same as it was. I guess would be my immediate perspective.
I know it's a weird question to ask, and you
Mhm.
know, arguably, even stranger, more weird things to ask at the end of a podcast. But I know Franco appreciates Injustice One to this day, and
Yeah.
uh, Cowboy, trust me, man. When I was watching him, I was watching Franco fight his brother. His brother was using
Deathstroke.
Martian Manhunter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were listening to the
Yeah,
Sinestro Deathstroke
and he
matchup.
was using Lex Luthor, dude. That was
Mhm.
like sick to me. I'm like, the way I finally got to see like Martian completely destroyed the nonstop 50-50s. It just felt so good. You have no idea. When the anti-zoning characters get what they deserve, in my
Yeah,
humble opinion.
yeah.
Um, but the point is, uh, aside from this weird and random rant, like, what did you see,
Mm.
uh, Sinestro towards the end of Injustice One lifespan? Because you were one of the best, if not the best, with all due respect to one of my best friends playing to win. What did you see Sinestro
Boy,
ending up on the tier list towards the very end?
geez, I didn't know you liked Justice this much. I would say, I mean, yeah, probably top five or just outside.
Oh my god, it finally happened.
I said that when I was playing, by the way. I don't know
Hold
why
on,
this is
hold
like
on. Hold
people
on.
are acting shocked.
Uh, Couple of
Hmm?
questions that I think super important. I'm not gonna talk about Martian or Batgirl or Aquaman. I think that's kind of obvious. But was Sinestro better than two characters? Flash.
Flash?
Yeah.
Oh, probably slightly, but you could definitely make the argument Flash was better.
Was Sinestro better than Zod?
No,
Like, you're talking
absolutely
about
not.
the matchup or like the overall experience?
Absolutely not. When we talked about this the other day, if you got these odd players were totally on point, like people would not be able to move because of the ensnares oddballs, and then that would be into the oppressive mix and trait. Like, yeah, I know Zod is better.
Yeah, I would agree with both of those. I think Flash. I'm sorry. Actually, I think Flash is better, but I do agree Zod's better than Sinestro.
Hmm.
So who would you put above Sinestro in that game?
Aquaman, Martian, Zod, probably Batgirl. Vortex is too
Oh, yeah,
fucking good.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, and I guess possibly Flash. It just depends. I also don't remember a lot. It's been 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
I will say I I really liked Injustice One's aesthetic a lot more than Injustice Two.
Yeah,
I really thought it was cool. That it was kind of bright. It kind of taught it said superhero to me. But Injustice Two just felt extremely dull and like not very interesting. I don't know what it was about it.
it was like a watered down Injustice One, in my opinion, for the most part. Like they just made a lot of meterless strings not meterlessly launch anymore. Uh, I didn't like meter burn roll or air escape. I thought the interactables were still super unbalanced despite being blockable. Like the dive kick interactables were horrendous to deal with. The character choices were cool though. Like Scarecrow was an awesome addition, but for the most part, I think it was just a watered down Injustice One. Like
Yeah.
like Superman's 223 doesn't launch mid screen anymore in Injustice 2. Like what? Why? That's like why are we doing that? Or like
Yeah, I can't comment much on balance because I didn't play that game for very long. I just really meant more like the way it looked. I thought it wasn't as fun. It didn't look as fun.
Yeah,
But I know some people say that's the best NRS game, so I'm not gonna shit on their parade.
what, Injustice 2?
Yeah, a lot of people out in our community say that.
Even as a defensive slash zoning player, I think that's highly debatable. I think people will
Mhm.
listen to this, like they will make up their minds about me and about all of us. I think the game was too slow and was way too defensive and way too zoning heavy. I think there's a way to do it, but I don't think it was like that. Um, but doesn't mean that we need an MKX or we need a game like MK1. I think there has to be a balance, and I don't mind Rushdown in this day and age, as you guys know, being stronger. I don't mind it being 60%, 65% stronger, and I don't think that's where MK1 is at all. Um, and I think we have seen the results thus far from these offline tournaments, and I think we can let the results speak for themselves. But I do want to wrap it up, and I do want to ask you. I know you said you're thinking about traveling.
Yeah.
What's next to determine that people can see you at, and what can they expect from you?
Well, I'm going to Texas Showdown this month, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I really enjoy competing and traveling. I haven't gotten to do it as much, but yeah, I'd say what to expect. I mean, I don't know. Like, there's going to be a lot of killers there. I'm going to do my best. Hopefully, I can gatekeep some people. That'd be fun. But yeah, I kind of got my plan going, so I'm excited. I think I have a chance. And then after that, maybe Combo Breaker, maybe Evo.
You think? Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Are you thinking about going to Evo or?
Probably, definitely at least one of the two, either Combo Breaker or Evo. We'll see.
Well, I think this is a good place to wrap it up. I want to thank you so much for joining me. And even more important, thank you so much for playing me recently. And thank you so much for giving me the games and leveling me up, whether that's in a frustrating or not frustrating manner. You can both decide, but I've always we disagree about maybe sometimes about the balance of a game, but I've always held you to incredibly high standards. I think you're an amazing player, and you have a lot of interesting stuff to say, and I think this podcast kind of proves that.
Thank you.
So, folks, thank you so much for listening. Let us know what you think about our tier list, along with our slight Injustice 1 talk. Hope you folks enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Nexus podcast. Bye.